Disclaimer before we get into today's podcast, guys. We currently experienced some technical difficulties in the beginning where my Streamlabs is not picking up the audio of everybody in the Discord call, so we had to kind of restart that. However, I was able to save the clips via NVIDIA Shadowplay, so if it seems like it skips from one portion to another, it's because it's being clipped in, as well as the fact that we had to rediscuss a few topics, so if it sounds like it's overlapping, that's why. But guys, once again, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified of every time we upload here on the Blind Rage podcast. And I guys hope you enjoyed the video. Peace. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Blind Rage podcast once again with your host Mike
and Nick.
And today we have a special guest named Doninic Veroni, aka Nikita, as you guys have seen in the chat on YouTube. You know, just whenever referring to him in a party chat, whenever Nick's streaming, when I'm streaming, or anything in that manner. You know, this man's literally always in our party chat, and like, you know, he's basically like a part of us whenever it senses like a miniature community. And we kind of like, you know, wanted to tell you guys his backstory and how like everything with him started. So as always, guys, let's crack straight into it.
Alrighty, so like Mike said, we're gonna go ahead and crack straight into it. So we're gonna get this going. I'm not gonna mess up like I did the first go around and got way too messy with it. So let's cheers to everybody. And yeah, like Mike said, let's get right into it. Shout out to you, Dom. Welcome. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on, you know. Decorated freaking veteran of the scene. And by that I mean he's a very close freaking homie. You know, he's in the inner circle for sure. Like Mike said, he's in all our parties. You guys have heard him on my videos. I'm sure you've heard him plenty of times on Mike's videos. So, yeah, we're going to kind of just basically ask him a few questions, kind of get into, you know, how he got into Call of Duty, kind of how we met and stuff like that. So, I don't know, Dom, obviously you can break this down a little bit more than we can. So just go ahead and kind of get into what was like your first initial start on gaming and kind of like break it down, like what years and stuff like that.
Well, we want to go back to the start. I know I'm off screen. Give me a second here, boys. This is the first game I ever played.
Yes, sir.
Super Mario 1. So we're going back, way back. I'm old. I'm old as a dinosaur. But jumping over, you know, little animated things and shooting ducks with this dope ass duck. Man, I'm going way back, boys. Like, okay, that was my first experience in video games, and from then till now, we've come a long way, boys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pull over my VR, but you know, there's VR and stuff now, so
yeah,
come a long way.
Go
ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. You know, when was like, obviously, like we know like what you played back in the day, but like when was your first experience and when did like you start getting like heavily into it? Like how old were you now? Like what was your first experience ever getting a video game? Like were you super hyped, or was it like just like whatever to you, or like you like astonished that you have it?
It's almost like three answers for that one. Going back to I don't remember what grade I was at, maybe 7 or 8, and getting off football practice, and all my boys were playing Halo on the Xbox, and it was a pretty tight experience, man. Like, you know, you're 3, 4 friends, you're all playing missions together, and you know, doing whatever, and just having fun, drinking pop, eating pizza.
Oh yeah,
it was good times, man. And then I got more into gaming, and my mom got me some Army game. I was pretty tight. And then my one friend Jeff, he always played MW 2. Always played MW 2, man. So he kind of got me into the PlayStation scene a little more. And then I was waiting in line one year, 2011, for MW 3.
Yeah.
That was the game I think I waited most for. I was in line about 2 hours in a blizzard. It was worth it though, man.
That's intense. It's dedication right there. Hell yeah, man. MW3, those were the days. I know back in those days, man, I was grinding it out myself. Those were some good times, but I'll tell you, after MW3, was that like where you realized, Call of Duty was something you wanted to play more like consistently and like really grind out? Like you started really getting into it then, or was it later on? Was it like Black Ops 2, something like that?
MW2, I started the grind. When MW3 came out, I was fully in it. Um, I started working a little bit more, so I gamed when I could, and I remember Black Ops was coming out, so I played that, and I kind of stopped a little bit. I was really intense on multiplayer, like going. I'm just going back. I'm not no god gamer or nothing, but I go like 32 and 8 or something like that. That was like on average, or like 20 and 2, like yeah. And then
Yeah.
I started
Oh
playing
yeah.
Black Ops, and I was murdering it. I thought I was playing bots, so it was kind of not fun anymore. And then I had this hand accident, and I couldn't play it anymore, so I had to play some zombies. And it was about a week playing zombies with my girlfriend at the time. You know what? Kino?
Yeah.
Everyone
Kino
knows
der
Kino.
Toten. Yeah. Everybody
Yeah,
knows
so
Kino.
I was we were on that map playing, just me and her, and like this is fun. There's a room and zombies, there's two guns on the wall, like there's a box every now and then you can buy guns. And then my one friend was like, "Yo, there's doors you can open."
Yeah. Yeah. I bet that
Yeah,
was crazy.
we played. Yeah, I'm not even lying. We played that map for a week without
Without
knowing you
opening a
could leave
single
that
door.
start room. Yeah, man. So when we did that, like, yo, we were pretty good at zombies, man. So like, and then I kind of dropped off the multiplayer scene, and it was all about zombies, all about
Yeah.
zombies, bro.
Yeah, I was the same way. I had like a similar thing where I started off with zombies and then I kind of got into multiplayer, but then I would kind of flip back and forth where I would be, at first I'd be zombies, and then I was into the multi, and I would, it kind of depends on the game too. Like, when a certain, like Black Ops 2, they made it hard because the multiplayer and the zombies were both so good. So it was, I don't know, it was crazy. But I'll tell you this, man. I don't know really about a whole lot about, like, obviously we played a little bit of Call of Duty together and stuff like that. And I guess I'll kind of break it down for everybody for those who don't know. So I met this guy, Doninic Veroni. I met him playing with my boy Dustin. Everybody knows Dustin, Cryptic Dude. Everybody knows him. I was playing with him, and he said he wanted to invite his friend, and I was like, okay, he can add him up, whatever. So he freaking joined in, and we played with Dom, and we were playing on Black Ops 4 at the time, and it was on Blackout. And this was after, it was probably maybe like 2 months in after I'd already got Dark Matter, all that. And I wasn't so great at Blackout because I had been putting most of my time into multiplayer. And I freaking linked up and we played with Dom, and bro, like, this man here was insane compared to me at the time, as far as like, he was just way far ahead of me as far as like knowledge of the map, just knowing where to go, knowing what was happening. And dude, literally, I remember first game we played with him, Dom had 15 kills and we won the game.
Holy shit.
And I was completely mind blown because two of us died off the rip, like literally first like minute and a half of the game, and Dom and Dustin completely clutched up the whole rest of the game. Dom had 15, Dustin had 10, and I'll never forget that because it was crazy. Because I was like, bro, going in, I was like, yo, I don't know about this guy. But then after that, I was like, bro, this guy's a slammer. This guy's insane.
That's
And we freaking played games after that, and Dom was like, yeah, man, I don't even play this all the time. I just play it casually. I mostly work a lot. I was like, what? I thought that man was like grinding it like hardcore. I was like, damn, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, something that I didn't even know about that whole experience. Like, I thought, obviously I met you on BO4 as well, Nick, but I thought, like, I thought you met Nikita, like, very similar or like very close after you and Dustin met in the first place, because I figured like that's how that would end up going. But I'm really surprised about that, as well as I'm surprised, like, obviously we know Nikita's a GOAT, but I didn't really think that he would be that in depth with, like, Blackout. Like, considering like where you're at now, Nikita, like, you're definitely still really good at games, but like you don't have as much time as you used to, so I didn't even know you were actually that cracked at Blackout.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, you would give Dom the freaking ABR.
The
If you give him
ABR was
that
so
gun,
broken.
bro,
I remember that back in the day. ABR
bro,
was so good.
he had like the sniper scope
Yep.
on it and all that,
Yep.
bro. It was over. And
That's for
I'm
you.
telling you, man,
That's for you around Bears, man.
yeah, dude, and his positioning was like, I know I would always just try to full send it at people. I'd be dying to zone and like just dumb shit like that. And Dom's positioning, like he sets us up in the perfect spot to win. So it's like if we lose that, we just got outgunned or something. It wasn't because we weren't set up properly, which I don't know. That's what's always good about playing with Dom. Yeah, like it's fun to play for kills and all that, but if you're having a rough patch and you just can't get a win, dude, you literally could play with Dom and get like a 1-kill win just because Dom knows how to set you up. He's like, go here, bro. Just bam. I was like, holy, bro, back then, I knew nothing about Blackout. Because, see, Mike, you know how when you first grinded, all you did was grind Blackout.
Well, not only
See,
that,
it was the opposite. It was the opposite for me. I only grinded the multiplayer. So when I hopped in, and Dom, obviously, he didn't know everything, but he knew a good amount. So to me, I was like, bro, this man is insane. He knows everything. It was crazy. It was mind blowing.
Even I don't know if you remember this, but even in the last episode of the podcast, I discussed I didn't get to play Blackout whenever it first came out. I didn't get to play like COD when it first came out. I was watching my boy Savage Mustang X, which now is Savage it's Savage_2C. He used to stream on YouTube as well. Like that's where he switched to Twitch here recently, but he used to stream on YouTube. So like although I didn't play the game at all, like I literally had so much knowledge. So like going into it, I was like really set. But that kind of brings me into our next topic that I kind of want to bring up here is Nikita. Obviously, I know you're well aware of, give me one moment. Okay, I know you're well aware of the whole Battlefield situation, and with Battlefield 2042 coming out, and I know you've played the beta, and I know that you're typically, like, you still play COD, but, I know, like, you're more of a Battlefield guy when it comes to that. Like, you used to play a lot of Battlefield titles, and, like, you used to, like, grind that a lot. So I kind of want, like, some of your opinions, and, like, do you think it'll succeed this year?
Well, the thing about Battlefield is that's the thing, right? There's Battlefield and there's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing in the middle. Well, you could say Rainbow Six, but
or like Enlisted maybe, but Enlisted's more like a Battlefield.
Yeah, those are kind of their own things, a little branched off. But
yeah.
See, like I used to try out the Battlefields when they first came out because back when I played them, man, it was you get them on a demo disc for free. So, hell yeah, I'm gonna try them.
Yeah.
But Call of Duty is they're always gonna be a Call of Duty. There's always gonna be a Battlefield. I played the Battlefield beta. It was fun, but climbing stairs for literally like, remember climbing stairs in Blackout in the apartments where you're climbing like 20 stories?
Yeah.
I'm talking 80 stories, bro. So like 4 times what we did. Okay, you get all the way up there. We push the team, we cap them, and the team spawns in a helicopter and drops from above and shoots you while you guys are still celebrating on the roof. So, like, that's where that game kind of is in my books. Like, you just want to have fun and mess around, cool. But, like, you want to have some competitive play, like Call of Duty. Yeah, man. Go with that. That's cool. First game I played was on the NES. A lot of you might have not even been born during that era. This is that game, Super Mario Bros. 1 and Duck Hunt. Shooting ducks, hopping over
Super
Goombas.
Mario was fire.
Dude, 1, 2, and 3. 2 was alright, but 3 was by far the best of the era, bro. In my opinion.
I agree.
That was like the early. What was that? Like I didn't play it in the 80s when that shit came out. I'm only in my 30s, so like it was like 92, 93. I think I played that. I remember it quite well, and then my uncle, he was big into gaming. Go to his house, man. Like, bro, he had everything. Like think of like you go to Chuck E. Cheese back in the day. They had everything, every gaming system, every just the basketball shit you shoot, like the air hockey table. Man, he had everything, bro. And he had like a PlayStation. We were playing Resident Evil 1. I was in his basement. It was like kind of like the vibes right now. Red background light, like dark and stuff. And There's that first scene, walking up and that zombie turns around. Now you're like, oh, that's not scary. But dude, when I was a kid, that like scared the hell out of me, man. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was like my first experience, and then I wanted a Sony PlayStation so bad, and it was when the Nintendo 64 was coming out. Shout out to N64. But so that year I got a Sony PlayStation, and my sister got an N64. I got it over there now, but whatever. And yeah, so I started playing some Sony Pony games, and ever since then I've been Sony Pony, and yo.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Dom, so like tell us kind of a little bit what was your first experience with Call of Duty and how did you kind of get into it?
Boy Jeff, I used to go hang out with back in the day. He'd always be playing Call of Duty and having these crazy kill streaks, man. Like, we'd go on 12, 13, 15. Like, I never saw him get a nuke, but he said he got a couple nukes, and I believed him, man, because the guy would tear it up. And those kill streaks back in the day, bro, the AC-130, the attack helicopter, bro, those are like,
Yeah.
dude, that's better than some drugs out there. I'm just saying, like that feeling you get when you're in
Yeah.
there, like it's good, man. It's
Call in the freaking
and then
Predator missile, and then you call in the Harrier, and then you call in the AC-130, and you just start raining terror down on everybody. It's amazing.
Nikita, as you were saying before, like you have like the COD titles and then like the Battlefield titles, and if you want to try to get back into that, whenever it comes to like the whole questions of this, the newest Battlefield, and if you think it's gonna succeed.
gotcha. Well, people that play Battlefield, they're gonna keep playing it, but myself, I played the demo, the beta, whatever you call it, and no, I'm not down because climbing 80 stories on foot, getting up there and wiping a squad just to have them hop in a helicopter and parachute and just and you dead. So like, nah, that's not fun. I'd rather play COD or Blackout or
Enlisted. Do you still play that game?
I don't play Enlisted. I play Hell Let Loose, the
Yeah,
PS5, and that's
which is basically like another version of Enlisted, right?
kind of it it's hard to explain because it feels like so many different games I've played before all into one. So it takes out so many bad elements of games and
Yeah.
adds all the good elements. But if you don't like crawling through a field or a forest and popping your head out of a
Like
tree and getting
tactical
shot
realism.
instantly, like you probably don't want to play that game because a lot of people spawn in. You got to spawn at the very far back on this giant field, man. There's like little squares. Each square is a couple miles, and there's like 20 squares. So, you got to go up to the front line. People don't drop spawn points. You're running for literally 25 minutes, not seeing anything. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like that because they don't want to play the game, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's
That's
just a real MMO game.
kind of getting into this. Whenever it comes to the whole tactical hardcore aspect, that's why a lot of games, like a lot of people, Rainbow Six Siege just kind of like taking its turn to a different direction. It's more of like an FPS shooter more than like a tactical realism shooter. But that's why a lot of people don't actually like, they don't like Insurgency Sandstorm, or they don't like Escape from Tarkov, hashtag Escape from Tarkov, that game is sick. But you don't want to like, people don't like how in-depth a lot of these type of games are, and how like you can die from a single headshot and you can get one-tap body shot if you're not wearing the right armor. Or even like with Tarkov, like it depends on what round, like not just what caliber, but what round. Like if it's an AP round, if it's for instance, let's say a 545 or 545 by 45 BT round versus a PS round, or like a 762 by 39 PS versus BT. Like that all has its own flesh damage, its armor penetration value, its ricochet chance, all of that. So that's why a lot of people don't like games like that. But that's like kind of getting into what you said, Nikita. A lot of people aren't gonna like games like Hell Let Loose or like Insurgency Sandstorm, Escape from Tarkov because of that. Because like that, they're not used to kind of playing that. Getting into that, that's kind of like how I feel about Battlefield 2042. I think that graphically the game looks amazing. Like gunplay wise, it's very good. It reminds me a lot, like it kind of reminds me of like a copy and paste of MW, but like with a few other aspects, But I think that it's not my type of game. I think that it looks cool, like it plays well, but I do not enjoy running simulators. And there's been times where I'm running for literally 10 minutes and I do not find anybody. And that's even if I'm spawning on other teammates and things like that, as well as, I don't like the whole vehicle and tank aspect. If you want to use a chopper to get from point A to point B, cool, but I don't like the whole idea of being on the ground and getting, slammed by an AC-130 or by some kid in a tank or a helicopter or, like a jet. Like, I understand that's realism and that's kind of what the Battlefield franchise is, but personally, I do not enjoy that. I enjoy, like, just an FPS, like, PvP type thing. I do not enjoy the whole, flying in and using, like, a chopper or a jet or something, to blow up an area. I don't care for all that personally, and that's why I'm not a fan of the Battlefield titles. I have played modes where there aren't tanks and things like that in other Battlefields, so I think that when it comes to me, there is a chance with 2042, considering that. But also, I think that some of the things are some of the items are too good to not use other items. They're not broken or like busted, but it's just way higher than what some of the other items are. Like, for instance, Nikita, I don't know if you're aware of this, but, like, the grapple gun in 2042, everybody pretty much uses that rather than, like, actually helping your teammates. And a lot of the meta classes, especially a lot of, like, the streamers you guys see using, like, the meta classes, they're just there to use the Vector or use the SMGs and, have high kill, fast gameplay, They're not trying to, like, res their teammates and be a team player. And in other titles and other franchises, I'm fine with that. However, in a game like Battlefield, if you don't do that, it not only makes makes the team suffer, it also makes the whole experience a lot worse because, like, your experience is almost dictated off your team. Like, even let's say you don't care about winning or losing, but, like, if you're just in a non-stop, like, kind of spawn trap type thing, or, like, you just keep getting knocked and no one's rezzing you and stuff like that, I feel like it can be very annoying. But that's my take on it. I know you haven't really played it much, Nick, but do you have any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is we got to look at it from this perspective, right? Like, most of our viewers and most of the people that's going to be watching this are, like, people from our channels and stuff like that who are, for the most part, Call of Duty, viewers and players and stuff like that. So, I mean, for the most part, like, there are people that play and enjoy Call of Duty and Battlefield, but for the most part, if you enjoy and you like the style and the play and how Call of Duty is, you're not going to enjoy Battlefield or games like Hell Let Loose or Insurgency Sandstorm or Enlisted or any of those games. You're not going to enjoy that as much because you're just doing a lot of running around. You're doing a lot of sprinting in between gunfights. It's not like Call of Duty. They pride theirself on their shitty spawns, and they actually say, like, yeah, our spawns are shitty, but it's because of you guys. We want you guys to spawn in and instantly have a fight. And it's like, I get that to a certain extent because people literally complain a lot about not having gunfights, and that's one of the things that Call of Duty prides themselves on is, you can get into a fight all the time. Within a few seconds of spawning in, you're supposed to be able to get into another gunfight. But I want to kind of transition over to this just because I want people to know. Obviously, Dom and I were playing a lot of Blackout back then when it was popping. But I'd say, like, maybe after the first year, after that, like, while we were still... It's like before Warzone was really a thing and Blackout was still, it was towards the end of Blackout and I was really starting to heavily get into it and Dom was kind of stepping away from it a little bit, starting to play different games and do different things. And it was unfortunate because there for the longest time, that was like the only thing he was playing. He was grinding it out. And there for a while, I was like, nah, I'm playing the multiplayer, man. I'm grinding Dark Matter. And he was trying to get me to play, and I wouldn't play. Well, after we finally was like, oh, well, Blackout's pretty much chalked, but Warzone's coming out. And then we knew Warzone was coming out. And Doninic and I ended up, I think within the first week, we played, like, at least, like, 3,000 to 5,000 games. Like, we played insane amounts, like, for so many hours. I don't even know how many hours we played in the first week of Warzone being a thing. But once Warzone was released, we were grinding that out and everything. But after a while, Dom kind of, was slowly but surely like losing interest and getting into other games. If you kind of could touch on that, Dom, do you remember exactly like when you kind of started getting out of Call of Duty and out of just battle royales and just kind of leaning towards more games?
Yep, I do. I remember what it was.
What was it? I'm just curious.
It was all the nerfing. See, they come up with a game, you play it, and it's fun. Everyone enjoys it, and they give the criticism, okay? But if you have fun, I think you don't break something unless you don't fix something unless it's broken. And in my opinion, I feel like Mike was having fun with it. If I'm mistaken, were you not having fun at the beginning when we started playing some Warzone there, Mike? Or am I?
For me, like the first couple days, like, obviously the first day it was just because it was hyped up so much. Like, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I was like, okay, I can fuck with this. Like, this is cool. And I remember me and my boy, fuck, I can't remember his name now. I know his IRL name is Devin, but I don't remember his gamer tag. But we played, like, we intended on playing like the first day it came out, because like he played PUBG, he was a sweat at PUBG on console. Like, everybody accused him of using MNK, even though he was 100% controller. So I'm like, I want this dude on my team, and like, me and him played, and we got like really close to dubs. We got like, I'm pretty sure the first game I played, I got like 10 or 11 kills. Me and him were just like destroying shit. And then, I think it's not a couple days later, but after he got off a little bit later that day, like, this was at like 2:30, 3 o'clock that we were playing, or I started playing at, because that's when I got out of school. And, and probably maybe five or six, he hopped off, and my boy Dustin hopped on. You guys know Dustin, he's Dustin, but he hopped on, and I'm like, let's play some duos and let's just like destroy some shit, because Dustin's a goat, right? Aimbot, legal aimbot with the thumbs. Okay, boys, like, never touched a controller for 3 months. Aimbot with the Maddox, just nonstop. Just, that's all. Aimbot. Okay. Yeah. So I'm like, let's see what Dustin can do here, and this was before any videos were made about it, and any type of TikToks or anything like that. I'm like, I'm gonna use the Gra or whatever, however you want to pronounce it. Like, I'm like, this thing is gonna be god tier. I slapped the VLK, the Archangel. I had the setup, okay? And me and my boy Dustin, I dropped a 15. I think he dropped like 10. And like, he was like feeding me kills, but at that point I wanted a gameplay, because it's the first day the game came out. Like I want some content, Yeah. And like the first week or so, like, we were slamming. Like, it was mad fun. It was really enjoyable.
And then the meta changed.
And then with like Nikita saying, like, I think skill based, like, obviously skill based always existed, but I feel like they started adding it. I feel like
they ramped it up.
Yeah, I feel like they made it a lot more like scrutinized a little bit more, and made it more like less saturated. It made it very like tight. I guess that's for lack of better terms. And like Nikita was saying, to this day, it's literally nerf and buff simulator. Like, I'm fine with something changing meta like, if it changes the meta every month and a half, or every season it changes the meta. Cool, I'm fine with that.
Every couple weeks now.
Not even that, especially like recently, like the past like month, almost every day there's a change with something. Either they buff something, they nerf something. Oh, it's too broken again, we nerf it again. Oh, it's too garbage, we buff it.
Sometimes they straight up, they'll put a new gun in the game, and they make it so over the top, insanely good.
Yeah.
To where everyone wants to buy the bundle. And then after they made as many sales as they can, then they nerf it.
Literally,
and it's like, it's sad, because it's like, I get that they're trying to make money. Like, it makes sense from a business perspective, but if you look at it, at what it does to not just the community, but the whole meta.
The integrity of the game is being destroyed.
That's
because they want to line their pockets, rather than Mike's having fun first week. You're having fun first week. I'm having fun. Dustin's having fun. And then they start nerfing all this stuff. Oh, this gun's too strong. This gun needs to be stronger. Shotguns are way too strong now. Like, assault rifles that were beasts suck. And it's like, now you have to adjust, okay? And then a week or two go by, and you're like, all right. And then you have to adjust again and again. I was I was just
Yeah.
so sick of it. And the skill-based matchmaking,
Yeah.
Like
that is like I would prefer, like, sorry to cut you off,
no,
Mike,
you're
to be
fine.
quick on this one.
You're fine.
But skill-based matchmaking, I understand what they're doing. They want new players who are kind of intimidated to come to a game and get demolished by, like, me and Mike and Nick against some three random kids that are 12 years old out of grade school, and they've been like never played this game, and they just started playing, and then we destroy them, and they go and get a refund because they just had a bad time. I get it, but I wish there would be two lobbies, like ranked, not ranked.
Yeah.
If you suck, going non-ranked. If you're good, going ranked. If you're in ranked, no skill base. It is what
Yeah,
it is.
it
Play
makes
whoever.
it makes it like I see what you're saying. Like have like almost like a two skill or two like a two, not cliff, but like a two section skill based bracket where like everybody that's in like the protected bracket, whether that's new players or like people with like severe disabilities. Like me and Nick have had this conversation before, how this kind of like works. But I kind of have essentially the same thing with you, but mine was a little bit different. It was that by default skill base would be turned on for like, so as soon as you hop on the game it's turned on. And once you're playing the game for a little bit, like once you have like a certain KD or certain level or whatever, you can decide whether you want that on or off. And that way it doesn't affect us negatively, but it also doesn't affect them negatively, because if they want to be in that lobby they can, but we can get mixed lobbies. Now that would interfere a little bit. So if like 7 people wanted skill base and like what fuck so if 5 people didn't want it, it would kind of mess up the lobby a little bit, but it would be that'd be a different way to do it. And I feel like, and me and Nick especially, like Nick and Nikita, you've even like heard us talk about this personally, but we get a win or we get like a 10, 15, 20 kill game, or we have a 30 kill between all of us or whatever, and then the next lobby it's just like insta kill, like you're going up against the most tryhards, which
hackers and all kinds of stuff.
I'm perfectly fine with sweating. I've spoken about this before, but even because like especially now, because once Vanguard comes out I'm trying to practice, get my shot up, but if I'm just trying to stream and make some content off of it, it's not fun to go up against Cali sticks, which can whap you from 25 feet away. And I say 25 as an exaggeration because of the 21-foot rule. If you guys aren't aware, the 21-foot rule basically states that anybody that's using a blunt object or just like a melee weapon of any sort, so like a knife, a machete, anything, if they're within 25 or 21 feet of you, they can run and stab or start whacking you or whatever before you can draw your firearm and get a shot off. So that's why I say like 25, because it's above 21, because that's how Cali sticks are. They literally 1 to 2 hit you if you're full armored, and like they have
the lunge is insane.
The lunge is insane. The rate of fire, but the rate of fire, basically the rate
how
of
fast you can
how
swing
fast you can swing is insane. And how much damage it does is insane. So you have non-stop, like in sweaty lobbies, like we've been like, literally in Cobra's lobbies yesterday, like we found like multiple 4-mans of just Cali Stick and Riot Shield players, and it's not like they're casually playing, like they're doing it because it's broken. So
and then there was, after we got a couple of wins, we started running into nothing but cheaters. There was one time where we ran in, it was me, Cobra, and somebody else were playing. I don't think you were playing at the time, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
We got a win, and 3 games in a row after we got the win, we died to hackers, literally, like every time. And it's frustrating. I mean, not just cheaters, but skill based, all that. Like, it completely makes sense to me why not just Doninic here, but all kinds of people have been quitting and going on to different things. But with that being said, I am curious, Dom. Tell the people, what exactly did you go and start playing? Like, obviously, you still were gaming, you were still doing your thing, but you kind of replaced Call of Duty with some different things. Obviously, you kind of touched on the Hell Let Loose and Enlisted, but outside of that, what else have you been like playing and stuff like that?
Well, I enjoy me some sports games as well. A little bit of Madden, some NHL. I used to be into FIFA, but that game, don't play FIFA, boys, okay? Don't play FIFA and put money on your dad's credit card, rack up like, you're just not going to talk about that, okay? But, I played a little Insurgency. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to have some cigarette.
Did you actually get to play it, Nikita? Because I kind of want your opinions on that. If you got to play Insurgency on, like Insurgency Sandstorm on console.
Yeah, yeah, I have it. I play it all the time. I like. Okay, when you ask me like experience of games that like left an impact on you, whatever you worded it as, sorry. One game that stood out was First to Fight Close Combat that I got on the Xbox. And everyone's like, whoa, you say you're a Sony pony man. I am. I got the Xbox One, the original Xbox, like the OG Xbox, the big brick, you know.
I have one of them
I
myself.
got
Yeah.
that back in the day because something happened to my PlayStation and my Nintendo 64 was getting fixed. My mom felt bad, so bought me that, and she got me this game because she knew I didn't like Halo, and I loved Halo, but then something happened with me and my homies, so I
Like the
was
thought
like,
of Halo was like a PTSD type thing almost.
yeah, man, exactly. So I couldn't play Halo anymore because like it brought up too many painful memories. So like, nah. And she knew that because like back in the day we were tight. So she got me First to Fight, and it was like the first MMO real like you're in a four-man squad. You're just going like Mike's got the front, you got left flank, I got right flank, Dustin's got the back. You know, you're
Oh
just
yeah.
moving, building a building, going slow and slow, and
It's
like
kind of like Zero
you know
Arc
that was
almost.
and like that was 2002, I think. So going back and to get that game to work, I was down in this basement in that far corner, like where the internet hooks up into the house, and I had to like, dude, we didn't even have internet back then. I had to like splice it and do it all myself, just get to work. But it was worth it, man. It was like 3 a.m. I started like 7 or 6:30. It was like 3 a.m. Finally got it to work, and I was like the greatest feeling ever. I'm online, like going through, and so Insurgency is like that game, but instead of being in the place that you were in First to Fight, now you're in the desert.
Yeah.
So it's just a different theater and everything's up to date. Like it's literally the same gameplay. It's just up to date, better graphics, better everything. So like, man, that hits hard, a good place. And like, I just started playing Hell Let Loose, and that game's fire. Like you're crawling through a field, you gotta stop because a tank's shooting down on you guys for 20 minutes, and your commander's dead. No one's commander, so you gotta wait for the commander to come. It comes, airplanes come, finally bomb it. Your whole team can move. So like Insurgency brought back good memories, and it's a fun game. It's like I played a lot of Rainbow Six as well, and it's more realistic than Rainbow Six, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. I know you play a lot of Rainbow Six, Mike, but
Yeah.
Yep.
that game is realistic. It's fun. It's terrifying at times. If you haven't played it and
It's
you're
definitely
interested in it,
immersive. I could say that. Like just off of like your description, I can definitely tell that's like immersive. And Nikita, like you could correct me if I'm wrong. Like I kind of want your opinion on this. When it comes to Insurgency Sandstorm, my best like obviously I know you don't play EFT, but my best like comparison of it, it's like a Battlefield game and Escape from Tarkov were together, because like it's Battlefield style and like sized maps, and then it's like Escape from Tarkov mechanics for the most part. Like there's only a few things in it that are in Tarkov that aren't in Insurgency Sandstorm.
I gotcha. I haven't played that game you're talking of there.
Yeah, it's a PC exclusive, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I gotcha.
one thing that you spoke of, I have a few topics here that I would like to discuss. But one thing that you spoke about previously is that you like received a hand injury, and I would wondered if you would be able to like kind of talk on that and talk about like as a kid like your like experiences with like other people and like how they affected you, like getting in fights and things like that, or, like severe arguments, and how everything like that was handled as well.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, the hand injury happened kind of, I'm not gonna say recent, but I was, I don't know, 17, 18, something like that. No, I was 19. No, hold on. I think I was like 21 or 22. Went to the beach with my girlfriend. My dad wanted to tango along. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna say no to the old man. So we were playing bocce. You have those balls and you throw them after the little ball. Whoever's closer gets a point. So when you're done throwing and you're close to your opponent's balls, that sounds weird, bocce balls, you hand your opponent their balls out of respect, okay? Because like we're Italian, going back to the old country. So
Yeah.
I was handing my dad one of his balls, and he knew I was going to do this, but
He threw
he's
his.
like, he wanted to throw his ball anyway. So like at the same time, we kind of looked at each other and stopped and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, and then we both like, "Ah." And then he went to throw again, and I went to hand it again. We were both like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Haha." And this time I'm like, "Yo, he can't be this stupid thinking like I'm not gonna give him the ball this time." And he's thinking this kid's gotta not be stupid, think I'm not gonna throw it this time. So we're both stupid. We both kept
Yeah.
going. So I'm holding the ball in my hand, and then he's like, my dad's a big guy, so he throws the ball, and it was just the ball. My hand got sandwiched between
Oh,
two balls,
fuck.
and it was on this hand, and you heard the balls touch because some of these knuckles spread out so far, and then in between the skin, it hit the balls, and you hear cluck.
Damn.
So my hand was mangled. It was not broken. It was just like it was messed, man. Like these are not straight fingers no more, boys. These are not straight
That's crazy.
fingers, guys. Like these are straight. These are not straight. Um, my gaming after that went downhill. I mean, like I was dropping what 32 and like 12. Now I'm dropping like 22 and like 30. Like ew, like I'm negative now, man. So
Yeah.
it was whacked, and my hands just started to feel a lot better because I had hand surgery, not because of that, because I got shot in the hand with a pellet, and you can see. Give me a second here. You probably see it right there, right here beside the line. There's this scar right here. I got shot in the hand with a pellet, so it got infected. You got to get it out. So that was two traumas to my hand, and my gaming dipped even further, and that was depressing because like I was pretty good at one point where
Yeah.
my boy Jeff, who used to play Call of Duty MW2 back in the day, my plan was like 10 years later, show up at his house and be like, yo, let's play some games and like just rock him and show him like, yo, I'm dropping like 50 and 2 now. Like, but it was like, it was like a hiccup in my
It's kind of the
life for
opposite, yeah.
gaming,
Um,
so
this is kind of something that I've asked Nick because, like, obviously, I wouldn't say it's like a severe disability, but whenever it comes to gaming, it's a disability. And how with Nick, like, he used to be the same way. He used to have a 3.15 KD quick and only on BO2, and then like
Sure.
within the span of like a month or two, his KD went from that all the way down to like a point 0.6. So like considering your situation, I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked him. Like, is it kind of like like demoralizing, or like is it just kind of like depressing to see like your steady decline after something like that happens?
Good talk. But yeah, I know it was for me. I'll touch on that for those of you who didn't kind of hear when I was initially talking about it. For me, I don't know about for Dom. I'll let him speak here in a second. But for me, it was very unfortunate because it was like you're almost like you're not on top of the world, but you feel like you're definitely
Like you
above
made it.
average, and you know that like you're better than most people in the lobby, and then it just goes to like show it's like, well, I'm only nowadays it's like, yeah, of course I got out of that, but there for a while it was like, man, I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to kill like the kids who I used to smoke in my sleep. Like, so it became, yeah, for me it definitely was really demoralizing and depressing. But what about for you, Dom?
like I said, the one time I was in a room with my girlfriend in Black Ops 1 in Kino for a week straight. So I don't even
Yeah.
know, man. Like, yo, it sucks. I had to play Claw to get back into it.
Really, that's
Yeah.
actually kind of
Claw,
interesting.
boys,
I would have thought
Claw,
like
like
the
Claw. Like
opposite.
I
Yeah,
play like this. I play like this on the PS5 controller. I got the black one. Because it's so spread out,
you have the
it
ability to
doesn't
kind of play
affect.
like that. Yeah,
It's like this is like literally my claw stance, except it's like I don't need to do it anymore.
yeah.
On the PS4, I don't have that here, but yeah.
That's kind of like what I did. Like I literally only do it for Triangle with Warzone. But I've been recently, like, since you guys know that I actually have a set of paddles with this. You just plug these in. They're the Sony official paddles. They're not like a strike pack, because we don't do that around here. But as you guys can see, like, I have paddles and all that, and I don't have my paddles bound to triangle or anything like that. It's right is shit. I've been doing this so long, I don't even remember. Left is...
Isn't it like jump and crouch, right?
Left is jump, I believe, and yeah, jump. Left is jump, I think, and right is like the right is square, so I can reload and jump and do all that extra bullshit. But with Warzone, what I'll do is only whenever I'm plating. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna sit here the whole time. But whenever I'm plating and like running around, I'll switch to this position. So, it's basically the same thing, but it's literally only when I'm plating, but it's, like, boosted my performance in-game quite a bit. That being said, Nick, if there's any topics that I'm, like, forcing over that you would like to speak of, just let that be known. However, something that I found recently on TikTok is there's a lot of people that say MW 2019 was the best COD, and then there's also some people like us that, like, I'm not an OG player, but, Nikita and Nick are OG players, and, like, those players are saying, this title is what ruined COD, because now when people think of MW, they don't think of, one of the best CODs. They don't think of COD 4 or anything like that. They think of this pile of shit called MW 2019.
It puts a sour taste in people's mouth. Like, now, if back in the day, if you heard Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you'd be like, hell yeah, dude, let's play. Nowadays, you hear Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you're thinking of 2019, and you're like, bro, just delete this shit. What are you doing?
And what do you have to say to those that think, like, even if they're not people that just started COD, like, I'm saying people that have played COD for quite a while, and they think that game's the best. Do you have any, like, advice? You think they need to seek some mental help? Like, what are you thinking here?
Well, they probably should seek some mental, advice if they think that's the best Call of Duty, especially over like MW2 or like BO2 or something. Like, no way in hell. But on a serious note, I'll say, like, obviously anybody and everybody should be entitled to their own opinion. So if they want to think that's their, if that's their favorite Call of Duty, or they think that's the best Call of Duty, then so be it. But I think those people who think that are more slow-paced, like camping, like they like to just sit and pick people off, maybe with a sniper or with an AR.
Maybe
They have a slower, maybe sitting in a corner with a double-barrel shotgun, 725, best player in the game. But that's why I think a lot of people like that game, because they can just literally sit there and camp with 725. At least, most of the time when you hear people say they love the game, it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing so good. It's like, okay, but did you sit in one building the entire game with a shotgun and claymores, or did you run around with an MP5 and try to kill everybody?
Yeah.
Because there's a very different play style that it comes with. It's not like, oh yeah, dude, I'm loving Modern Warfare. I'm running around and getting smoked by a bunch of campers. Like, no, it's usually the people sitting there camping, killing people, running up on them over and over. Like, I mean, think about it for a second. Going into Modern Warfare, they literally told us to adapt. They said, oh, forget what you know. You're not supposed to be rushing around and doing all this. You need to adapt. And so, like, everybody, quote unquote, adapted, started camping with claymores, even though that was already a thing. It just made it much worse. Mm-hmm. So, like, now, before you always had one or two, maybe even three campers in the lobby, but now it's like every lobby of Modern Warfare, at least half, if not the whole team, is just sitting there posted up, camping somewhere.
Unless you're in like an extreme, like if you're in a decently to extremely high skill based bracket, like people, like that's why, I've said this in previous podcasts, I've said this personally, like any game that I play, as long as like I'm not new to the game, like that's a little bit different. But if I'm a decently experienced player, I do not want to go up against shit players. I want to go up against people that are decent. Like I don't say I don't like skill based, obviously. But at least with skill-based, you know that you're not going to die for the most part. I can't speak for the entire time, but for the most part, you're not going to die to some shit can chilling in a corner with a shotgun. Because I'm not saying all, but pretty much no good player is going to sit in the corner with a shotgun. They might run around with a shotgun, but they're not going to sit in the corner with claymores and restock.
Yeah, I mean, because playing good players just teaches good habits. Like it'll teach you to play the game the right way. And if you're used to good players making certain plays, then some bot makes a insane play. Like you get him one shot, then he rushes you and shotguns you in the face or something, and you didn't expect it. You're like, okay, well, he didn't camp. He did rush me, but you never expect a kid to rush you after you cracked his armor, got him one shot or something like that. You know, it's to me, it's just crazy when people do that. But like, I'm with you. I would much rather, and I think that's not just with Call of Duty. Like with basketball, when I was a little kid, the reason I'm so good at basketball and was able to make it to a basketball team and all that when I was in school was, growing up in the freaking hood of Houston.
Either.
Yeah, I have my brother and I have everybody who was older than me, and there was only two other kids my age, and the rest of them were older than me. Everybody was taller than me, so like I had to be a damn good point guard. I had to be able to make layups. I had to be able to juke people out and be able to make them like pump fake and make them jump up, and then after they land from the jump, then shoot over them. Like. I think anything in life, you're always going to be better at it if you play people who are good. Like if you're playing good competition, you're going to pick up from what they're doing. You're going to learn things from them. And then you're going to just all around be a much better player in anything, whether that's Call of Duty, whether that's basketball, whatever.
One thing.
And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
Continue.
Go ahead.
All right. One thing I would like to state, guys, if you are new to the podcast or if this is the first episode that you're watching, basically what we just discussed right here is something that we discussed on one of the previous podcasts, and it was like about a 20-minute section of it about how skill-based is, what we think about it, stuff like that, as well as like MW sales and how some people go, like basically all the content that we've just spoken about for the past like 10 minutes or so has been on a separate podcast. This is a little bit of a refresher, but guys, if you are new, make sure to check out that podcast because basically all of that's kind of caught up in a little bit more detail. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to do that. And once again, Nick, if you can, just continue.
Yeah, so getting back into the whole combo with Dom here to ask another question that I was curious about. So as far as like after the whole situation when you got busy with your job and everything, without obviously you don't have to state names or go into too much detail, but can you kind of touch on like what you were doing for like I guess we'll say for a job and like how you got into that? And I know like that's a pretty interesting story that I think is really cool. So if you could touch on that a little bit.
My work?
Yeah, like just kind of like how you got into it, and because I know you're friends with your boss, and I think most people would kill to have a job where you're friends with your boss and you could just shoot the shit with your boss and have a good time. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate in that light. Pretty much I met this guy a long time ago, and let's just say he lent me $10, and he didn't think I was going to pay him back this $10. And when I paid him back this $10, he was so blown out of his mind that this random person he trusted came through for once that he gave me more valuable items worth like, let's say $30. And from that day on, I was like, well, this guy's solid. So he's like, well, this guy's solid and trustworthy. I try to be, because last thing I would ever want to be called is like a liar, a cheat, a thief, or like someone you can't rely on, or not solid. Like, that would just like
that would like
kill me now,
like
bro.
your passion and like your like
that's
your
like exactly. So like this guy, and I hung out with him for some years, and he kept me around because back then, like, I'm a little guy, but like I'm stocky, I'll scrap someone. I don't care if you're 10 times my size. So I was kind of the guy's security guard for what he did back then, which is back then it wasn't legal, now it is. But and then we switched over to a even better legitimate company doing shipping containers, and I kind of just hung out in the guy's car while he made money, and I did my thing and he did his thing, and then I started painting these shipping containers and selling these shipping containers, and now it's it's a real thing. Like we got our own yard, we have our own drivers, we got close to 300 shipping containers in our yard right now, and new used modifications. I still do the painting. It's about 12 years now since he started out that, and I'm still by his side doing it. And we've had our ups and downs, and we butted heads. But at the end of the day, you go on Google, you look up Elite Container Terminals, you're gonna see a 5-star rating. You're gonna
Don't
see
you
my name, you're gonna see Jay's name.
correct me if I am wrong, or
That's-
like if it's still kind of in the works, but don't you also have your own company, or is that more of like a side hustle type thing?
Oh no, yeah. So working through my buddy Dave, I went on his books once, and you get holiday pay, right, Mike? So
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
there's a holiday, you don't go to work, you get paid,
It's an
and it's a
H day. That's
percentage
what
of
they do it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a percentage of how much money you made like the previous week or two, right? So
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it'll work out to that day pay. So with me, it was kind of difficult because I got paid per job at the time, which would be 200-300 bucks per job. I would do several jobs per day, get paid at the end of the week. So when that day came to pay me my holiday pay, it
They
was
weren't having
like
it.
400 and it was like 400 and something dollars. So like that's a lot of money getting paid for doing nothing. So they took me off and then said, I'm making so much money, why don't I just start my own business? So I did. Pretty much nothing changes other than if anyone needs a job now, I'm not strictly
You
tied down
basically
to
cut out the
working for my buddy.
mini man, the middleman for the most part. Like they go
Yeah,
straight to
man.
you or straight to like your workers. They don't have to like go through all kind of extra bullshit.
Exactly, and now that I've been selling containers for a while, and they asked me like, "Hey, do you paint?" Obviously, I paint, but then they want me to go mobile, so now I can charge more because I'm my own company. It's all legit. It's yeah, it's pretty good. It's weird because where a couple of years ago I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I think I was working at a restaurant washing dishes. Like I don't know how old I was, like 18, 19, 20. Washing dishes, and before that, working just any job. Like, I go get a
Yeah.
job, work it for a couple months, and things would happen. I would quit, get fired for being late. Don't be late, okay? It's the one thing I can say. You show up on time. Work is like school. You show up on time, you do your work, you don't get in trouble, you're fine, okay? Me, nah, I can't do that. I can't go to a factory, a 9 to 5 job, okay? Because I'm showing up at like 9, like my old job. You got to punch in at 6:59 or sooner. There's me at 6:59, sprinting, full like throwing old ladies around. Get that out of my way, old lady! Like here's a punch card, and I'm like, I fell on the ground. I look up and like it's 7 o'clock. Like I'm getting in trouble now. They're
Yeah.
docking 15 minutes. Like, where you going, Dominic? I'm going to my car to smoke for 14 minutes. But why? Because you're docking me 15 minutes. So like, what am I gonna do? Work for free? I don't
I
think
don't work
so.
for free.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, they always think I have an attitude problem because yeah, I kind of do. I'm sorry. Like, so being my own boss
At
is
least you're being
great. Like,
transparent about it.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
100%.
see,
I can show up when I want, leave when I want. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
And
see,
when I'm
Dom, I
working,
mainly bring this up and mainly wanted to kind of discuss this because I know there's so many people listening to this right now, who are either gonna, eventually get a job and be put in that position to where they have to maybe get a 9 to 5 or whatever. And I know, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who have, a 9 to 5 or whatever, and would kill to be able to do some of the things you do, like just some of the stories of being able, like having Dom on a weekday. Because yeah, he goes to the yard and he paints and does certain things throughout the week, but it's not every day that he
Ooh,
goes
on
to
that
work.
voice.
So
most of the day,
there's
this
plenty
is
of
my office
times,
right here.
yeah, and there's plenty of times to where it's like if he doesn't have to go paint or go do anything, like he could literally get up and he wakes up that day and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna game all day today. Like I'm just chilling. And it's like, that is so cool because a lot of people, it's they have the weekend and that's it. And not everybody even has the whole weekend. So for Dom to be able to just, have certain days, even just a random day during the week or whatever, just to take for himself and just, I'm gonna play video games all day today, or I'm gonna take the day and hang out with the girlfriend or whatever, just I'm gonna chill out. And I think a lot of people would, they would kill to have a job like that, to where they could just do whatever, just chill, just have a
Uh,
good time.
I
And,
I
go
remember
ahead.
this. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I just had this one story. So, I woke up and the day before I did a lot of painting, and my buddy Matt Funky McJack helped me out. So, like, I can do a lot of work in one day by myself, but if Matt helps me, like, we can do so much work. Me and this guy, okay? Like, me and this guy can do as much. I'm not even okay. It doesn't even matter. Okay, we do a lot. And so the next day, I decided, I'm gonna take it off. So we were playing video games all day, and I think Nick was in there, Dustin was there. I know Matt was definitely in there. And that day, I think I had 6 or 7 people call me, and it's not like a 10, 20 minute conversation. Some of them are, but most of them are 2, 3 minutes, like, hey,
Um,
you got a 20-foot shipping. Hey, you got a 40-foot. Yeah, what do you send me your information? Boom. Keep playing, keep playing. By the end of that day, I made more money than I think like a year ago. A full month's pay didn't touch what I made in that day sitting in this chair gaming, just answering my phone, not even
yeah.
paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm grateful that I can do that, but times have changed. I can't sell a shipping container for 2,100 for an amazing used 20 or 28 for an amazing 40. Now it's 46 and 70 or sorry 6,700. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
forget
see,
about it.
the last freaking podcast, episode 3, me and Mike kind of talked about,
Like inflation and
uh,
all that.
yeah, like the economy and just how
Oh,
everything, and we kind of
God,
discussed this a
stupid.
little bit, and it's crazy because it's a lot of people think it's just certain things, like it's
No, it's
literally everything
everything.
has been affected, like in some way or another. Like you wouldn't think shipping containers would be hit as hard as they have, and I would have never thought that or known that without
Shipping
knowing
container.
Dom directly.
Yeah.
And
Everything in your
you
house is from a shipping container.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everything
yeah,
in your house can come from a shipping
Actually,
container. Your
that's one of
house
the
itself
topics
can
that I
come from
was
a shipping
that I
container.
forgot to bring up last podcast. A few things. One, Nikita, on your statement. First of all, what's like the name of your personal company? I'm pretty sure I'm aware of it, but I want to make sure everybody on the podcast, if they're in your area and they're kind of interested, what's like the name of both of your
It is
companies?
it's the company I work for is Elite Container Terminals, and my personal company is called Dominic Veroni Services. That is not limited to and limited and unlimited to anything you can think of.
There you go.
sounds a little.
No,
And another
that's
topic,
legit. Got GST number. Yep, yep. Keep going.
something that I thought that you brought up that was interesting is the whole on time thing. Because whenever it comes to school versus work, it's like for me, it's like night and day. When it comes to school, like I'm a junior, and for the most part, I'm straight A. Straight A. Sometimes like there's the odd class where I have like a B or whatever. I don't really give a fuck. Whatever. So, I have that, but like at first, like my middle school year, my elementary school year, all that I was super good on time. Like I wasn't the best attendance because like I got sick a lot and shit. But like when it came to time, I was always on time. It got to the point where like if I was gonna be late, I just didn't go, and then that way it's like basically excused more because if I have a slip or whatever, not
Yeah.
important. But with high school, it was like freshman year, like I was late here and there because like we had to get up like a half hour early because we got out like a half hour early as well. So like that shit sucked. So like I wasn't
You know
always
why they do that, right? You know why they do that, right?
having a high school out before
Sorry,
middle school. Why is that?
Well,
so they don't pick on the little kids.
Oh yeah, that's
The little
true.
kids are gonna pick on.
well, like here at the way our school district does it, I'm sure it's different for a lot of places, but
Yeah.
the way ours does it is the elementary, and this could just be because of the location wise, the way they have it set
Mhm.
up in our town. But the elementary and the intermediate are like this close together. They're so close. And then on the same campus, like literally a 2-minute walk away, is the middle school. So all three of those can be picked up like relatively quick.
Yeah.
So they let the elementary and intermediate kids out at 3, and then the buses pick all them up and all that. Then the buses move over to the middle school, and they pick up everybody there at 3:15. And then the high school gets out at 3:30, and then they pick up everybody at the high school by 3:30. Like, so it's more like so they can get everybody on the bus like at a
Yeah.
specific time. That's kind of how our school runs it. I'm not sure if that's how it is everywhere, but yeah, continue.
Ours is like we have the kindergarten, which that's more of a correctional school now, but at one point it was a kindergarten. Then we have the elementary school or
Hardcore
intermediate school, whatever you want to
kindergartners.
refer to it as. That's like 4 blocks down. Like it's not that far away. Like it's literally like from my house, it's like literally a 2-minute drive.
Yeah.
Not important. And then we have the high school and the middle school is all in one, but it's not like sectioned off. It's one big building, but like a lot of the middle school is down below, and then there's some there like the middle school is the second floor, and then some of the second like not the second but the first floor because there's a basement. So the first floor is like the high school cafeteria, the middle school cafeteria because that's two separate ones and stuff like that. But most of the high school classes are up, and then some of them are like on the first floor, and then like the cafeteria and shit. But as far as like the whole being on time thing, like I said, like whenever last year my sophomore year, with Zoom and all that, like I did my classes, like I showed up to them. But my first period class, I never did, and I would always do it like a day before the deadline, and I got like 100% because it was easy. And then I would set alarms at every interval of my period. So when my period begun and ended, so it would go off. I'd wake up, log in, or not log in, but you just tap on a link. You go on the Google Classroom, click on the link, and then you're in. So I do that, and then go to sleep for 40 minutes, and then wake up at that alarm and go to the next one. So I kept doing that, But when it comes to like being late, like you said, when it comes to school, I have 92 minutes late already. That's only been like a month and a half into school. But when it comes to work, work, I haven't been late a single time. Now, mind you, I live close, but if I took a leisurely walk and I wasn't careful, I could easily end up being late because I don't leave my house until between 3:50 and 3:53. And it's my store is a block away, but it's like a steep ass hill. Like this shit is a high grade, But
Yeah.
Let me. You like your job, obviously, right?
Yes and no. I used to enjoy it, but however, with the recent job cuts or the hour cuts, I'm scheduled for 20 hours, and I end up this week. I've only worked like fucking 7, and
Yeah, I get that, but like besides like the cut back in hours, which totally sucks. I feel bad for you, buddy, but yeah, you like working there and the people you work with, right? Like you
I
enjoy it
like my staff.
overall.
My main manager's cool, but she's the one that always ends up sending me home because whenever I first started, I was doing everything. I was able to do everything. I was qualified, but some of the reasoning now I'm not qualified, so I'm expendable. So, that kind of sucks. But as far as my job, it's definitely a great first job. It's very chill, and I've actually spoken with a new kid that started like back before we changed our menu and we don't get like any orders anymore. We would start like a slow day would be like 35 orders whenever I got there, and now a slow day is like 11. Okay, and that's like 4 p.m. As well as with the whole thing, I used to like there was busy days like Fridays at 6 o'clock were busy as fuck. We would have like 100 orders, so like it was a really chill job, but you could also stress test yourself and see how you're gonna like fare against a lot more customers. So if you're in like an actual fast food place. But yeah, to answer your question, so far right now not as much because I'm looking at other job offers. But like as a whole, yes, I do enjoy my job.
Yeah, I just said it just because like even though I'm like the whole being late, this and that, it was only for jobs I didn't like. If I liked the job, man, I was there 20 minutes, half hour early,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
before everyone, just
you
like
have to have
chilling and
passion.
like they see that. And like those jobs, like I remember this one. I worked at a thermoplastic place making plastic from scratch. I don't mean molding
That
stuff.
shit's really
I
cool.
made stuff with chemicals to make plastic
It's
out of
like
heat.
polymers, yeah.
Okay, with giant extruders. So like the fact that like like I don't have no college education or nothing, but I was put in charge of like $1 million machine, like this big auger. This
Yeah.
one, it's a
That's
screw.
badass.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's an
screw the size
auger.
of
Yeah.
like size of my room,
That's what
bro.
presses the
Like
molds together, right?
40.
Or extrudes
Yeah,
the
man. So like
plastic.
that
Yeah.
thing's turning and like you gotta mix glass with that, and like if you do it wrong, it'll mess it up. So like the like that was one of my first job that I consider to be the most dangerous and important jobs, and like I took this thing inside of me. It was like more than responsibility. It was like these guys trust me, and like I don't want to lose that trust ever. So like I was never late. I did a good job. I made a mistake. I broke the machine. I broke that $1 million machine because of me. And guess what I did when I broke it? I told them exactly what I did. I apologized. I told them what I did.
I've done that before.
Everything. I did not lie. I told them what I did. I told them I put too much glass in. I didn't mix it properly. You know what happened?
Nothing.
All the other temps, I was a temp.
Wait, you were a
I
temp
wasn't even
worker?
supposed to be there. I was a
Oh
temp
shit.
worker, and I broke one of the 3 lines they had. Okay,
Mhm.
there was 3 temp workers too, because it was like
Mhm.
8 hour shift, 8 hour shift, 8 hour shift. I got the day shift. Okay, night shift guy and the other guy, they got fired. They kept me. Why? I thought they'd fire me. I broke it, but they kept me because I was honest. And then the other guys, they were continuously late. I was like, I didn't even think like, I was 20 minutes consist like, I show up, hey, but man, what's going on? Like, all I did was babysit a line. I babysat that ogre. And when I showed up,
Wow.
the guy that I took over, he could leave, and like he was friends with the boss. So like you have a job you like, you get some responsibilities, and it's such a
Mhm.
good feeling and stuff. And you know, I ended up like having some I'm not gonna say like there were some mental health issues at the time. So like I ended up not going back to that job, just randomly stopped going. And I tried to go back to that job, man. Like I drove, I was on the street. I got to the parking lot one day. It was like 6 days in a row. I tried to go in. Like I just couldn't, man. I don't know. It was just like I was going through some shit at the time, and
Mhm.
I
Yep.
regret not. And they were not upset. It was like they were supportive. They said anytime they need anything. And the temp agency I worked for said like don't contact them ever again. Blah blah blah. Made it seem like
But you
it was
were a
my
great
fault and
worker,
shit.
just,
Like
yeah.
and I was a great worker and they all loved me. And I told them I was going through some shit right now and like I didn't know how to deal with it. And they're like, if you need anything, let us know. Like
Wow.
the people that were making money off
Sounds
me,
insane.
they're like, don't do that, don't do that. I'm just like, from that day on, man, never dealt with a
Yeah.
temp agency. Don't get me wrong, some of them are really good and they help people. Like I
Mhm.
know, some of them like help you find educations and stuff, and they're not just in it for the money. They're actually trying to help the people, and like that's terrific, man. But like the ones that I experienced, like
Yeah.
nah. And then I just went and factory to factory to factory and just like seen like man, like I'm a good worker and I'll I won't go to break and make sure the job's done right, okay? And I won't even say a word about it. But then like not even getting acknowledged for doing like
Yeah.
more work than you're supposed to and just
Mhm.
being
Yep.
treated like a number, bro. It's like it sucks, bro. So
Yeah.
like that's why I don't like that kind of work and then just floating around and then just so happened the guy I used to chill with, and I was his bodyguard when he did some stuff.
Mhm.
He started a legitimate company and was like, "Yo, let's do this," and so
Mhm.
like I got lucky, man. Like
Yeah.
1 in a million luck, bro. Like I wish this luck upon everyone, or like that everyone's that guy that
Or at
came
least
up with that
give
idea
them
to
the
start this
opportunity.
business.
Obviously, like you can't
Because
lead a horse. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But at least give him like the opportunity that you were in.
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm not telling people to do this, but we were in college at the time. He was at college. I was just hanging out, kind of watching things, and it was his second semester in, and we thought, man, what am I doing? Like, I'm gonna take this money from my school, and I'm gonna spend it, and I'm gonna get money from selling that stuff,
Mhm.
like legitimate things, and just keep flipping it. So that's what he did, and eventually he paid off his loan. We bought shipping containers,
Mhm.
and we went from his student loan of like I don't even know, it was like $3,200 or some stupid thing like that. I'm not even a lot to
You make that in a day now.
a a multi like not quite but like they're $1 million+ company like
Yeah.
in sales like we flip 50, 60, 70 million in sales a year
Wow.
easy. Like I'm responsible for a good quarter of that, but I
Yeah.
don't see percentage of that. I just get a flat rate per
Yeah.
unit I sell because that's my
Yeah.
homie. He wanted me to do it, so I'm like, and I'm seeing more money doing that than working at these factories 80 hours a week, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing, man. It's a good thing I got, and very, very appreciative. And the struggle is
Yeah.
real when you're working those long hours. Look at the watch, and you're like, "What do you mean
Yeah.
I'm only been here for 25 minutes?"
Yeah.
Can
Yeah, you
break
feel
time's
like you've
off
been there
another
for
2 hours.
hours.
With that,
Yeah.
Nikita, you actually touched on a few things that are actually very interesting because I didn't like know that whole backstory myself, and I've known you for like over a year and a half now. As well as a couple things that are interesting. You kind of spit straight facts. When you take passion in your job, you want to do it the best you can. Like whenever I first started, and like up until like about a month and a half ago, I took pride in my work at that job. Like, I made sure everything was the best it can be, and all that. But at this point, like I said before, I'm going there for an hour and a half to max, and I'm getting sent home, so I don't even care anymore. But like, definitely if you take passion, it's way different. Like with the whole high school versus work thing, I've never been late once, as well as with the whole temp worker thing. This is like just a side note for anybody that is like a temp worker or wants to be a temp worker. It's not a horrible job. Like in Nikita's case, like he got very good opportunities because of it. But you have to be very very careful because in that sense, like the way it works is the factory. You have the factory, you have the temp worker, and then you have the agency for the temp worker. So if the temp worker gets, injured in any sort or anything happens with that, it's not the factory's problem. It's the temp worker or the temp facility's problem to take care of. So, although it's kind of sad to say this, and like it's very hard to hear, a lot of factories that use temp workers do not care, and they cut corners, and there's many cases of it happening.
Yep.
Where they don't really care about that person's life, and they don't take the precautions, and then someone dies because of it. There's actually a couple like stories of like this one guy. He was at a palletizing factory, and one of the glass bottles broke, and he had to go under and sweep it up, and they didn't unlock or turn off the, like they turned it off, but they didn't like lock up all the panels, so they can't start it again. And someone overlooked it, turned it on, and he got basically crushed to death. So it's it's very, you have to be very cautious with something like this. And although it might cost you your job, you definitely have to be careful when you have to make that decision whether your life matters more than your pay, or if your pay matters more than your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who, are thrill seeking, but I don't think anybody going to a factory job was expecting to, potentially be crushed to death.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a thrill seeking thing. That was an unfortunate accident for sure.
Yeah. And Nikita, I have a couple questions for you. I know you're kind of like out and about, so you got to be careful of like making too much noise there. But like with the whole MW thing and all that we've discussed, when was the deciding factor for you? Like when was the last straw that like you were basically like done with COD for the most part? Like you still play Warzone here and there, but like when it comes to purchasing the COD franchises, when have you like sat down with yourself and made the decision like, yeah, I'm not buying this anymore. I'm not feeding them money for nothing.
Seem to have technical difficulties. Oh, there we go. I'm back.
Okay, he's back. He's back. All
Can you
right.
repeat that there, Mike? Sorry,
Okay. Like obviously I'm aware of like that you still play Warzone here and there and things like that. However, considering how
what's happening to my phone?
Considering how MW 2019 happened and all that, and the whole controversy with that, when did you make the deciding factor and like realize that it was the last straw and that like you're not going to be continuing to purchase Call of Duty franchises anymore? And like, what are you going to do besides Call of Duty once you like stop purchasing them?
It seems to have paused.
He's having some type of issues on his side.
Yeah,
I don't know what
I
it
think
is.
it's this connection. Yeah, Nikita, can you hear us?
To be fair, he did say he wanted to do an hour, and we're like an hour and a half in. So if we do end up losing him,
yeah,
it's whatever.
Hello there.
Are we good?
Okay,
good?
there we go. Are you back?
Was that my fault? Sorry, or
I think it was your your connection got messed up from walking around everywhere.
I gotcha.
So,
Maybe
uh,
so.
what I was saying previously, with how MW 2019, turned out and all that, what made the deciding factor for you that you're gonna when did you sit down and realize yeah, I'm not buying the Call of Duty franchise anymore. Like I'm not, getting into it, because I know you still play Warzone from time to time, but when did you make that decision that that's no longer gonna be an option for you?
Okay, even though I say it every year and every year I buy it, so it's kind of hard to say
Well,
because I'm like,
I know after Warzone, like I know it was just like you kind of touch on it a little bit. I feel like I know when like you found your MP5, right? Like you were loving the MP5 in Modern Warfare, you were having a good time in that, and then like something I don't know, like they nerfed it wasn't the MP5, but it was the other gun that you like to use, the FAMAS. It was
three
the
rounders.
the FF.
Wasn't the Hamas.
What is it?
It was the
What
egg.
is
It
that
was
thing? The
the
5.5. You know what I'm talking about, Mike?
the
FFAR,
Og,
right? The
the
AUG.
bishop,
FR
the bull up,
556.
the bull up. It's like the
It's
bull up
it,
from
yeah. It's literally the FAMAS from
Oh yeah,
MW2.
the
It's the
FFAR from the FR five
FR
five
five
six.
five six. That
Yeah.
thing. He used that all the time, and then they nerfed it. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know for sure, but I think like after that, like he started to drop off and not play as much. And I'm not gonna say it's that directly, but I think it was just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because after that, like he really hasn't played too much Warzone since. Because like I said, starting out, me and Dom were kind of like the duo. Like we were playing more than me and Dustin were at the time, which is insane to say that. But
dude.
But yeah, what do you think, Dom? Do you think there was a specific thing? Was it the FAMAS
When
being
they,
nerfed?
it wasn't the FAMAS I used. It was the I see it right now. It's like this grayish green. It's the Og, the
The
three
Yeah.
round
AUG,
Og.
that
Well,
was
yeah, I
in.
know the AUG was in Blackout, or well, the ABR, and then you did use the AUG as well.
ABR, the
But
ABR. You're right.
yeah, you used the ABR for Blackout, and then I know it was the FR 556 you used for a while in Warzone. Once we switched over to that, but I don't know if it was the nerfing of that, like, because at a certain point it was really good, like when it first was popping. But then after a while, like when they did the meta shift and they changed a lot of things, it made a lot of things way better than the FR 556, and they made it to where the sniper build on it wasn't as good, and that was something you were using a lot back then. So I think maybe that had something to do with it, but I couldn't say for certain.
Because Nikita, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you did not buy Cold War, correct?
He did buy Cold War.
Wait, you did? When did that happen?
He played one game of the beta on Cartel TDM, and then got 2 kills, backed out, didn't play ever again.
Oh, okay. Because I must have been confusing that with one of my boys, but I could have sworn you didn't. But I'm gonna take your word for it. I thought you did buy
Played
it, but
I played Cold War with I don't even remember, man. Was there
Yeah,
a
you
campaign
played
for
League
Cold
Play.
War?
You played League Play with us for like a couple games. He played with us, Mike. It was me, you, Jordan,
Oh,
and
I
and
remember
Nikita.
what it is. I remember what it is. It's not even that. It was the last straw that game. Okay, when I played MW 2, and then we switched to MW 3 on the leaderboards, bro. Remember leaderboards, dudes?
Yeah,
Leaderboards. You can see like names beside it, numbers, and
yeah,
you can go to the bottom. It would tell you how many players played the game, but now they
yeah,
don't because
yeah.
we
They
all know
stopped. They
why.
stopped
But
that after BO2 because of the golden years, and they realized how
that's
horrible
like
their
how they.
numbers were.
That's how they removed the number count. Yeah, from BO2, like you used to have it. Now you don't have the number count anymore, which sucks.
because then the guys that back the game and put money into the game see the low numbers, and then they're like, "Why would I back that game when Fortnite has better numbers?" That's the
Yeah,
only reason why I think, and we all know why. But this I was ranked 93rd. My boy was ranked 92nd because we played this game mode that we haven't seen from since MW3 called demolition.
Wait,
And they brought it.
And-
They brought
brought
it back to
in
Cold War
Didn't they also bring it back in MW for a certain time, like a portion,
for like
a limited
half
time
a
thing?
week or something.
Yeah,
and then
it
they
was like a
took it
limited
out and
time
never
thing.
brought it back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I
I,
don't
see. Nuketown, or not Nuketown, but that's what I see Pub Stomper and like Nuke Grinders do now. On Cold War is they use demolition.
Well, I used to love it back in the day because on demolition, it's like control. The spawns are set, so there is no flipping the spawns.
Yeah.
So back in the day
You
when
could
I
just
was a
spawn on
sniper,
spawn trap.
I would run to their side, put attack insert in a good spot, like quick scope a few who push their spawn, like they'd keep spawning there. So demolition was amazing. But get back to your point, Dom.
Yeah, you could literally. I love demolition because you had to rush the bomb, and as you rush the bomb, people knew where you were coming from, and they tried to stop you. So it was like first person gets the bomb and plants it, and then you just defend. And that game mode, it's like you're rushing and attacking people, and then you're kind of camping and
Like
defending.
passive,
So it's
yeah.
you're doing both things in a game that you would normally do outside of that game to win a game. Not saying camping is good, but like you're trying to get that kill streak and you're 2 off. Yeah, everyone's gonna camp that. I would, you would, everyone. So
That way everybody has to push you too. Like you don't have to sit in the corner. Someone's just gonna push you while you're sitting up on a head glitch.
And they know where you're at, and it's not like a mystery. And then sometimes you get those ninja diffuses where everyone's guarding the shit. You're crawling, and you get that. Like Nick knows what I'm talking
Dude,
about. Like
that's what I loved back then.
You guys played that one mode that's kind of like demolition, but it's different because if you die, you can't play again. There's no
search and destroy. Yeah.
Search and destroy. Like I love that game, but like when you die, you can't come back. I'm like, oh, why do I suck so much?
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you, back then when Dom would always talk about those demolition plays and stuff like that, to me, always what he instantly reminds me of my favorite part about demolition. And my favorite part about demolition is if you're on defense and the offense runs up and plants a bomb on one side, you could literally defuse from the other. It's not like search and destroy in the aspect where if they plant it for a certain spot, you have to be right where the bomb is.
Yeah, you just have to be in the vicinity of it.
Yeah, you could be on any side of the bomb and defuse it, and I loved that because, like, if they planted it on one side and their whole team's watching that bomb, like, they'll see the bomb get picked up, so that tells them someone's defusing. But if they're not paying close enough attention, you can sit there, like Dom said, and get a ninja defuse off while your boys are looking over you. And that shit right there is amazing because obviously it's not as good as a ninja defuse on Search and Destroy. But something like that is because I know how Doninic is. Dominic's the type of player, he will do the dirty work. He'll go in there and he'll play the objective. He'll defuse the bomb while everybody's shooting at him. He'll crawl in there, freaking make that happen. And Mike knows more than anybody. I am very similar. I like to get in there. I'm going to make that OBJ play no matter what. And I think it's really cool to be able to just get in there and defuse the bomb and win the game for your team, especially if your boys are looking over you. And it would make it so much harder if you had to go around to the other side and defuse it from that specific spot. But yeah, I'm with you, Dom. I think demolition's a lot of fun. I think it should be in more Call of Duties because
that's true.
I mean, before Cold War, it was in Modern Warfare briefly, but I don't even count that.
So that doesn't really count. Yeah.
So like before Cold War, I don't even think it was in there since like BO2.
It was like a lobby also that was like not as popularized as the main one. So like more gamers that didn't want to play as hardcore would kind of go to that one and then find out like, oh, these guys are kind of the same skill as me because there's no skill-based matchmaking back then. And like then it was kind of like you're competitive with guys your own skill because you guys don't want to play TDM or the other traditional game modes.
Like
and it was kind of like its own little niche thing inside this popular fucking venue game that everyone played. So it's like, man, I don't want to play this intense game. I'll play Demolition so I can kind of play chill. Or if like I'm getting into it and like all of a sudden like I don't want to fall asleep no more. I want to rush the bomb and like I don't care if I'm 2-10. Guess what? I got MVP because I had 3 plants and 2 diffuses and like I carried my team to victory. And these guys are like level 10 ranked or whatever, prestige 10, and I'm like a scrub, but like they pick me up just because like they see like, yo, man, this guy will do the dirty work and shit. And then like my boy GMMMMM would come on. This guy was in the Marines, so he'd be like,
Oh shit.
this is what we're doing. And he would tell everyone the plan. And we would hold that plan and we would win every game. It
Bro, you
was
need to get him
disgusting.
as a coach for for one of the CDL teams, bro. Throw him up in there,
Dude,
bro.
he is next level. And like that's what like Nick going back to like going in a blackout and like calling and going here and like leading y'all to victory. That's just because like me myself remembering his
Oh yeah.
me and him playing demolition, and like that feeling, man, brings a tear to my eyes. Like, bro, I guarantee you he's on right now playing Modern
Yeah.
Warfare. And the fact that me and this guy don't play, like, like this is my boy. You want to know how I met this guy? I was playing zombies with my girlfriend who really pissed me off. And at the time, we just played pubs. And him and his wife joined. And I could tell he made a racial slur towards us. It's like, not it was just towards him because I was angry at the time, and he wanted to like, hey man, well, I was like, fuck you, and I said something. And he was like, whoa, like he didn't leave the game. So a half hour later, he's like, yo man, you okay? And I was like, yo, and I didn't. I was just like, yo, fuck you, and like, and like now we're at like round like 25, and we're playing five, man. I don't know if you guys played five on Black Ops One,
Oh
but to get to
yeah.
round 25, you kind of need to be organized and know what you're doing. And the fact that we were going, and this guy was still there asking me like, yo man, like on the side, like, are you okay and stuff? Like, it was a real person. He knew I was angry. He knew I wasn't a racist. I rashed out, right? And like, he talked to me, man. And like,
Oh yeah.
bro, to this day, this is my boy, bro, because, like, he helped me through some shit and asked me what's going on. And I just, like, after I just told him everything. And like, he was like, damn, man. And he told me, like, his advice and stuff. And, he helped me a lot. And then we played games, bro. When we playing games, it's, I'm not thinking about that other shit. I'm thinking about what he's telling me to do, So, it was a whole nother experience, man. Like, like just being narrow minded and never playing with anyone online that I didn't know. And then this random guy that I was like an asshole to, and he could have reported me and had me banned, bro. And like he was like, man, like this he was 29 and I was 20. So the guy's 9 years older than me. And he's like, I've been there, so he had some patience and showed me and I appreciate that. And then he showed me how to game and said
Oh yeah.
he used to smoke a lot of weed, and how he stopped doing that was start playing video games. That helped me a lot too. And we played video games and he wouldn't let me smoke and we'd get focused. And bro, if I didn't blaze and play those games, bro, it wasn't a game, it was real life.
Oh yeah.
And like, you know what I
You
mean?
get into
So
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
that
immersive
was
if you
like
get into it.
it was because like, like I liked playing football and baseball and stuff. And I'm not doing that no more because I was too old. And like this is my and I go out and like hit people in football, like get my anger out, but like now it's a different outlet. Like I'm playing a video game, getting out with my fingers, and like if I die, like you've all died and be like, "Ah," on top of your lungs, like that lets out a lot of
Right here, right
stress
here,
right there.
right here. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard it once or twice. That lets out
Yeah.
a lot of stress, and like it was just a different outlet. And like, I look back at that and like I appreciate meeting, someone like that helped me guide me towards like the better gamer in me. And
Oh yeah.
if this hand thing wasn't here, man, let me tell you, I'd be giving those big YouTubers a run for their money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
dude.
Like
I definitely can
low
believe it.
key.
Nikita, one thing that you noted or not noticed, but you mentioned on is like how in demolition, like it wasn't like complete bot lobbies, but like it was lesser skilled players that just wanted to have fun. They didn't want to like sweat and like dom,
Yeah, it was
and
more casual.
yeah, that kind of hit home with me with BO4. Like obviously whenever I was in a 5-man, like I would be the gunship guys. I'd gunship everybody. But if I was playing solo, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna play Nuketown solo because in that game it's nothing but 5-mans. Which it's playing up a
Okay.
5-man's fun, but it's not fun if you're solo. So I'd play Control on BO4, and it was basically the same thing. Like I've had gameplays where, you know, like obviously I'm still a decent player regardless, but I would come back after 2 months of not playing the game, and I would go on and I dropped like 60 something kills and like 5 deaths. I was like 65-5 or something like that. So like
Yep.
that kind of
Gameplays on the channel. Go check them out.
yeah, for sure that kind of hits hard, as well as with the whole thing with like how you met your buddy is kind of how like me and Dustin are, because like I flip out on Dustin from time to time, and like looking back at it, I feel like a complete asshole. But Dustin's like, "Yep, I know. You just mad. You get it. I'm cool. You chilling." I'm like, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry." Like Dustin knows like damn well that like whenever I'm chilling, like I'm not mad at him at all. Like he's cool as fuck. But whenever I'm heated, I just rip out anybody. So like he knows that it's not personal.
Yeah, you just get heated in the
My boy
moment.
Yeah.
G, my boy G that I used to play with, GMMMM, his friend was this crazy guy named Charlie. And through Charlie, I met his nephew named Dustin. And that's how I met Nick,
Oh,
and that's how I met you.
bro, we
Yep.
even asked you like previously in this podcast how we met Dustin. That's kind of interesting how that like subconsciously came around. That's
Yeah,
really
it
cool.
comes full circle, right? But yeah, I
Because
remember Dustin telling me about this because he knew Charlie, which is you guys have seen me stream and play the game with him a few times. If you're the OG, member of the Nick Nation, if you guys been here for a while, you know. But
Yep.
XX Fire OG
Yep.
XX,
Charlie.
you know, Charlie, that's Dustin's uncle. He also goes by Bubba. If somehow, some way, you ever end up
Somehow, some way.
once, somehow, some way, if you ever see this podcast,
got
shout out to you,
it.
my man. Shout out to you.
Yeah, you're
We
definitely cool,
Charlie's like,
motherfucker.
Charlie's like, he's a brick, bro.
yeah,
Just saying, like, he's a brick shit house, dude.
yeah,
That man's like, so like, Charlie lived with
with Dustin, yeah.
somebody with
So
Dustin, but then
it was Dustin's grandma, Charlie's mom, is what it was.
before Charlie lived with someone that knew my boy G, and we were all gaming one day, and that's how we ended up being friends because we were playing zombies, and Charlie was like, "Yo, man, this tequila guy is pretty cool and shit," and he kept hearing me like rip bongs and stuff. He's like, "Yo, man, you're off the chain." So he added me up the one day, and then I was talking to another friend. It was just like,
It's like a
man,
chain
like such a
reaction.
small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, chain reaction, but like a small world because like I knew this person that knew this person. It all like clicked. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
everyone knew each other at that
That's
point. So
how
it was like,
it's crazy because that's kind of how me and Nick met. That's how like you and Dustin met. That's how you and Nick met. Because like with me and Nick, if my one friend wouldn't have got me into league play, that was just like he was a blackout player and he got me into league play. If he wouldn't have done that and I wouldn't have been in the exact game at the exact time, in game chat like that,
yeah,
then I wouldn't be on this podcast. I wouldn't be here with Nick. I wouldn't be able to speak to you and Dustin and everybody in the in the whole circle. So I'm kind of like I'm not a very I'm not a very religious person. Like I'm not gonna bring that up, but like I'm not an atheist by any means. However, like I'm not a religious person, but like I'm kind of blessed to be able to meet all of you guys here and everybody that's in the chat on the stream version. All you guys are the homies. You guys already know like the tight circle group. So it's crazy how big the world is, but at the end result, it's a small world.
well, and it's
I don't
crazy
like that.
how I think it's
Also
crazy
like
how like so many of these scenarios, one thing you change. I mean, literally like the
One
smallest
variable
thing,
and none of this happens.
and everything is different. Like, literally think about this for a second. You guys and everyone here knows how Dustin is. Okay, this is not a knock to Dustin. This is not me
Dustin's
talking
not
trash
a
on
not a
Dustin.
very social
Dustin will
person.
tell you guys this straight up, and we do plan on getting him on the podcast at some point. But that's also something that he's. I wouldn't say nervous about, but that's something like he's not a big. He's not like jumping up and down for
He's
joy,
more
ready to do
introverted
it.
like I am. Like I'm more of an
Yeah.
introverted person.
So, he's not the type of person where he's gonna just be on the mic, just on the headset, sitting there just talking to random people, stuff like that. I mean, think about how crazy this is. Dustin literally will not talk to random people at
He
all.
won't. No.
And the fact that and see, I was playing back when I met him, I was still in school. It was like 11 o'clock at night. My mom had already been telling me for like over 2.5 hours to get off the game and all this. I'm still playing, and it was gonna be like my last game of the night. And I ended up linking up with Dustin. Obviously, I'm just gonna give you guys the short version. I've
Because we
already
have
told
that
the
on the
whole
we have that
story.
on the first episode. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it was just crazy because like
Everything clicked.
All I had to do was either listen to my mom, and none of that would have ever happened if I'd have got off sooner, or if Dustin would have just, done the normal thing that Dustin does and went through and just said, "Oh, screw this guy. I'm not gonna talk to him. Whatever." Then that whole thing would have changed. So it's crazy how like him making that one decision to talk to me and stay on the headset, and me not getting off right then and there. Like it's crazy how that led up to me meeting Dom and all kinds of crazy things, because it wasn't just like I met Darren through Dustin, because Dustin and Darren they met on PS3, freaking zombies on Black Ops 3 Zombies, and
I've known Darren for around the same time, but not through you guys as well.
How did
So that's
you know? How do
crazy.
you know Darren?
I met him on Black Ops 3 as well.
Really?
And
which is
I met.
crazy.
It was either that game or it was this game right here. Let me move something off of that first. This game right here. I don't know if you can see it. The Division. Remember that crap game?
I think that might be where you met him. I don't know.
I'm
That
pretty
sounds
sure
right.
that's where I met him. Because
Yeah, that
I'm
sounds
pretty
right.
sure his name was like Daytop or something like that, right?
It sounds
Pothead.
that sounds
It
familiar.
spells Pothead backwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, small world. Small world, bro.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy how like those little things like, and then I didn't know Exility or Exility, whatever you want to call him.
Exility.
Everyone called him Exility, but it's not the Exility. When I save that, certain people who are listening to this are gonna think like the YouTuber, even though he is a YouTuber, but like not the famous YouTuber Exility. This was like Exility dash, or like the hyphen or whatever. That was his name. Like I met him through Dustin. I met Nikita through Dustin. I met Darren through Dustin. I met all these guys through Dustin. But it's crazy to think about, because Dustin doesn't even ever really talk to people like that or go out of his way to link up with people. But like Dustin met Dom through his uncle. Dustin met me on the off chance that he actually talked in game chat. And then the same thing happened with Darren. They met in Shadows of Evil, Black Ops 3 Zombies, and they were talking in game chat. So it's just crazy how like the few times Dustin actually gave it a chance, he met good friends.
Yeah,
It's just
facts.
that's wild to me.
Look how we met Jordan. It's basically the same situation as well.
Yeah, perfect scenario.
I mean, Snow. Snow didn't say a damn thing though. Like he was good, but he didn't say a damn thing for the first time we played with him.
Yeah, we just picked him up because he was a slammer.
Yeah, we weren't even gonna pick him. I
had
wanted
no
to pick him
idea
up.
if he even knew English or not.
Yeah, I was gonna pick him up because I wanted to pick him up because of his skill.
Nick,
What's up,
you're
Dom?
gonna remember this and be like, "What?" Okay, there was these guys we always gamed with, but it was random when we gamed with them because they were traveling salesmen. Do you remember these guys? Please tell me you remember these guys.
I feel like I do. Like I remember the whole traveling salesman aspect.
That's
and like I remember that
whenever he was trucking.
Yeah, I remember that whole scenario, but I don't remember like their names or anything. But I do.
I don't
like
remember
I remember
their names
them.
either.
But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I remember those
we
guys
had a few people
too.
like that.
Yeah, man. I remember those guys knew you separately through Dustin. So those guys knew you, and then you knew Dustin. So like you had all these mutual friends with me. And I'm like, how did I know this guy?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy world. And then we met up with Mike. Freaking gaming. And you're like, yo, this guy's pretty good, man. I think you said like you nicknamed him Marshmallow Mike, and I was like, yo, that name's tight. That name's fire, bro. Like. Yeah, man. Like my middle name's Mike, right? So like, like marshmallows are fucking marshmallows. Good name.
Yeah, Mike's a good name too. Everybody would I'm an asshole, but when everybody for the most part named Mike is like chill as fuck, and I'm not even saying that for my own name because I'm an asshole. But like
just come out and say I'm an asshole, just so you guys know.
But as far as the whole thing with Snow, once again, is like, we wanted to pick him up because he was good, but then we were like, like he's good, but like I don't want to be a dick, but like he doesn't talk, and like
He literally did
he
chat. I don't think you guys understand what might like
you do not
to the
understand.
extent of how insane it was. Like we are not bashing Snow at all. Like he's our guy for sure.
And like you could
But
tell he had
this
a
man
mic because
does
his
not
mic was
talk at all.
buzzing, but he was not talking at all. And
Yeah,
then we
he doesn't
talked to
speak
him.
words. He says like what, 5 words a map?
Yeah, and then like we were talking to him, and like okay, obviously if Snow, if you're in here, we're not dissing you in any means, but we didn't know if you spoke English either because we're like, because I'm pretty sure he was like talking to one of his family members, like and trying to be quiet, and he was speaking Spanish, and I'm like, yo, like you're a slammer, but El Slammer, but like what the fuck, and like you're not speaking.
El Slamado.
And then he was like, yeah, and bro, I'm living at my brother's apartment, we're good, but as soon as I move out of this house, we're gonna be vibing, which, shout out to him, man. He's got his own house. He moved in. He got
moving up in the world.
He had a good headset, or not good headset, good setup. Banging ass PC. And me and him, soon as Vanguard drops, bam, wagers, GBs, 8s, all of that. So, like he's taking the off-season break, but I can't wait to get into that with him. But, and it's kind of like with the same thing with Snow, it was like we never went in a game chat, but this one time we're like, let's go in a game chat, and like he was a slammer, but we didn't want to pick him up because he didn't talk. And once we got that figured out, man, like, look, like he's one of the homies now. Like he absolutely slams, and like me and him have won some money together because of it. So it's like it's a small world. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because really quick before we change the subject, it's think about this for a quick second. Like, not just how we met Snow, but I mean, we pretty much met Snow and Jordan like in the exact same way. Obviously, they were on our team in a league play match on Cold War.
We had to kind of teach Jordan the reins, but once we did, like, look where he's at now,
Yeah, obviously, I know once we dedicate the episodes to Jordan and everything, we'll go more in depth on that.
Same thing with Snow as well, yeah.
Yeah, same with him. But it'll be interesting to get into that and everything. But I still do think it's really crazy that, I mean, think about it. Think about how many people we've played with and everything where they slammed, they did just as good, if not better, than Jordan and Snow when we played with them. But we just didn't even give them the time of day. We're like, fuck these kids, we don't care. And then, like, for some reason, we were just like, nah, we need this guy. And we picked up Snow, we picked up Jordan, and like, just I don't know, all around.
I think with Jordan, like, sorry to cut you off, but with Jordan, it wasn't even just because like he was good, but it was like, he wasn't as good as some of these. Like, obviously, Jordan, I'm not throwing shade once again. Like, you weren't as good as some of these other people in our lobbies, but what you were willing to do to win was
the passion
different.
And the potential
like,
that he had.
You were the type of person that if something wasn't working, you'd be the one that'd be willing to switch it up. Like, you put yourself at you would sacrifice yourself basically to get us to succeed and win. And although, like, you might not have as much gun skill as some other people or whatever, but considering the passion and, like, in that position, like, you were the only one that's like, hey, I'll take a shot out and I'll do this instead, even if it's going to put you at a worse stat level and things like that. And on a pro team, obviously we're nowhere near a pro team, but on a pro team, that's something that has to be accepted. Like, look at Scump. Like, Scump is good, but you don't see him doing very, like, he's normally, like, neg or neutral because, A, he's a sub, and B, like, he has to make some of those plays. Like, same with Envoy. They both have to make some of those plays where if they don't do that, they lose a map, or, they lose a series, or, they lose a hill or a round or things like that, So you have to, like, be kind of selfless in a sense, and you have to put yourself in the line if it means winning that series or the map or what have you. That being said, there's a few other things I want to discuss about, and then we can start wrapping everything up. Is there anything else you would like to speak about so far, Nick?
Nah, just to confirm, for Jordan's sake, I'll say it was more of just like what we seen in him. Like, obviously we considered, like, we were like, I don't know about this guy, man. He's trying to, like, cross my people with a sub and all that. But after we
Once
like
we worked it
worked
out
with
of
him
him,
and had him switch over to the AR and talked with him and everything, and like because his passion was there, he was willing to switch, he was willing to put in the time and effort,
and it
and
just clicked.
I think like that's 80% of it. Like after enough time and practice, you'll learn all the rotations, you'll learn the timings, you'll learn all the other stuff. You'll get the gun skill, you'll build all that up. But just having the time and the grind and wanting to just put that in and having the passion,
That's
I think
something
is
that most people
that's
don't
what
have
put him over
anymore.
the edge.
Yeah.
Like because we really were like considering like just scrapping it on, starting over, just me and you, and we ultimately decided like we were gonna keep Jordan
And give him
and
give
just
him a
look for
couple
a fourth.
weeks. Yeah, give him at first we were like, let's give Jordan a couple weeks. See what happens. If he's still at the point where like it's kind of handicapping us, then we'll make a decision together.
Are
But
you guys
I'm sorry.
talking about Black Ops or Modern Warfare?
We're
Cold War.
talking about Black Ops Cold War. We were playing with that's when we picked up Jordan, or I think you know who we're talking about when we say Jordan.
Yeah,
Enzo.
yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Enzo, yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we made that decision. Enzo, like this was something that we kind of discussed with you, but like this is kind of like the behind the scenes type thing. But like we made that decision. Like we're gonna give you like 2-3 weeks maybe, and if we don't see so it's not. It doesn't have to be a significant, but it has to be a level that shows that it's actually going to be significant at one point. Like as long as you're improving.
We had to see improvement.
Yeah, we had to see improvement, and like look at you now, bro. Like, me, you, Snow, and Nick, we play a map, and we literally just 6-0 people in Express, or we'll play GBs, and we'll hold their own and stuff like that. So, it's something that you have to have the passion, but you also have to go out on a limb for someone, which is kind of how we discussed about with the whole thing with you being blind, Nick. But that being
we rolled the dice and took a chance, which is something most people aren't willing to do.
Yeah. That being said, like I said, there's like one or two more things that I want to discuss, and then shortly here we can start wrapping it up because it's starting to get around that 2 hour mark, give or take a few minutes.
Yeah, we got about 30 left here.
Yeah, but one thing that I wanted to discuss is the whole section where, like, with the imported goods, because this is something that I wanted to discuss, last week, and I kind of forgot about, as well as my boy Nikita over here. Basically, like, Nikita, you're like what makes this shit happen, because you buy.
Sorry, that fight last week was crazy. That's why I wasn't here. Sorry to cut you off.
Nah, you're all good, brother. You gotta spend time with your boys, like especially on their birthday. I understand 100%. But like it's funny because this topic that we're talking about literally corresponds with you to a T, and like we didn't even this is a coincidence. We didn't purposely plan this, but like if you look at the news anytime recently, guys, you can see that the importing times and importing prices are skyrocketing, because anything from Amazon that's imported across like overseas and things, it's going to be backed up by months. I've watched it on like news and like documentaries and things. Like, if you want your Christmas shit, you need to buy it now, because it's going to take 2 months, because all these ships in these oceans are just backed up. Normally like there's 1 or 2 ships just floating around waiting to have a spot, but there's upwards of 50 to 100 ships just in the ocean waiting to dock and unload. And then the unloading process itself takes a few days. So, it's like, plus like all these drivers that haul these transport containers, they're sitting at their facility waiting 9 hours just to pick up their container, because that's how backed up everything is. And once again, like I said, this corresponds with the Nikita, because, he buys, sells, like, modifies and all that. Like, he has his boys to make containers into whatever they want, make them in, like, fucking custom houses if they want, like a mobile house and shit. Like a garage. I remember the one guy wanted, like, a special garage with a custom ramp, So I thought that it was kind of cool that this
Like, I wanted it underground.
Yeah.
At the start of the COVID, a guy wanted a container, and he wanted it for a bunker. So we bought a brand new container. At the time, I think it was $3,200, and he spray foamed the outside of it with this rubber membrane. Because I explained to him, you need to have the unit breathe, or it's going to collect all the moisture, and it's going to like evaporate into the unit. That's that as well. Well, like, Corrosion, not as much. These things are being pelted on the ocean with salt water, so a little bit of groundwater rain,
Yeah.
nothing.
Well,
But
I'm not like
it's
I
well,
wasn't. I
when they're
didn't have the
trapped,
context
right?
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it just was so. Anyways, this guy, he pretty much he wanted a bunker, so like he buried. This was the container, and he buried it pretty much on this hill. So the only thing that was sticking out was a little bit of the doors,
Mhm.
and it was on an angle. So when you open it up, you got to step down and go in, and it was this little bunker he made out of our shipping container.
Mhm.
And then the panic started, man. The start of COVID, when everyone was losing their jobs. Sad as it's saying, I never made as much money in my life during the pandemic.
Because
And it
everybody's
wasn't because my
desperate.
price was high, because everyone wanted containers, man. And our
Yeah.
price was low, dirt low. I was selling the least price for the least profit, but we sold the most because of that. And I seen and sold to a lot of different people. And right now, the problem, okay, so the media knows what's going on, so does everyone, but like this is about 11 months in the process of already being like dealt with. So like it's only about another 2 months and then everything will be okay on my end. I'm an importer, exporter. The public at Christmas time is gonna have some issues because this was the problem. In China, there was, I'm not being dramatic or underestimate, or okay, about 100,000 different Chinese business owners had factories that could not export due to COVID. They kept
Mhm.
working and pumping out their factory and their
Piling.
goods.
Everything's
So
piling
then,
up.
so then when they were allowed, they had to ship it all out. Since the containers they were either owned by them, or their friends' businesses, there was a demand to get them all back in China. So the price started going up. So it's like if you want a container now in Canada, it's this much. And that sucks because a lot of people import and export goods, and now that affects it. So now the goods are worth more because people aren't going to pay extra out of their pocket for shipping, and it's a big mess. I've been dealing with this since
Yeah.
about last September. My
Wow.
sales went,
Yeah,
and
and I
now they're
I can say
starting to
this.
pick up.
I can say this for a fact. I hear Dom all the time when I'll be talking to him casually or whatever, and he'll sit there and have to answer his phone, and he has either customers always either calling
Yep.
him or he'll have to call the customer back and explain to them, and it makes him look like an asshole and feel
Yeah.
bad because it's like, oh, because he has to call the customer and explain, oh yeah, the quote I gave you last week, that's
Yeah, that
now,
changed. It
that's
fluctuated.
that's now a lot more expensive than what it was before, because now you have to worry about the fact that inflation and all this and the prices keep going up, and Dom has to call this person and be like, hey, it's if you want that same container, it's going to be a lot more money now. And so it's basically like the customers who normally
They just
love
seem like the bad guy.
you are, yeah, the customers who normally love you are now like, bro, really, you're an asshole, like, you quoted me
And I
this
make the
price and
exact
now it's this
same.
price. Yeah.
That's how
And
it
I make the
works.
exact same.
That's
You know,
kind
a
of
customer calls me up one week. It's like, hey, how much for this unit? Sorry to cut you off. Like, how much for
like
this unit? I tell them. They call me a week later. Well, a week later, that Monday, I got a price list
Yeah.
change. All the prices have changed effective immediately. So then they're like, I'm ready to order. I'm like, well, hold on. The price went up. And then,
yeah.
they look, they go
Um.
online, they find a price. Amazing price scammers, bro. There was like $18 million in the springtime scammed in Ontario alone, bro. That's where I'm from,
Damn.
Canada. As people saying, yeah, we'll get you this container. Send me 200, 300 for delivery. And I'll send it there for deposit. Okay. Never hear from them again. So they
Yeah, it's the same
pull
thing
that
with it's same
scam.
thing with Nigerians check scams as well. Um.
Yeah, man, but this is a whole nother level, man. And it
Yeah.
affected like
So many
my
people.
industry and me. And like, I wouldn't be in this basement right now if it wasn't for that shit. I'd be in my own house, probably in my own basement, like
Yeah.
my uncle had, finished with that little, foosball table and air hockey table.
Yeah.
And I got all the systems. I got all the systems he
Hey,
had, and
you'll
then
have it
some.
all eventually. You'll have it
You
the
know, I
whole
got
setup. I know you will.
Nikita, one thing that's kind of
that
cool
uncle just
is
messaged me wanting a shipping container, which is funny. Sorry.
one thing that's kind of
Just
cool.
screenshot
Like
it.
obviously, it's like with everybody, but especially with my job as well. You know, during COVID, we didn't have to shut down. We didn't do any of that. Like we didn't accept people. Like we didn't accept dining in. But during COVID, like we still made money. And because if you guys don't know, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in America, and Nick, I'm pretty sure you have a similar company. We have what's called
That's
a
true.
GFS, which is called a Gordon Food Services, which is the main supplier for at least 75% of all fast food restaurants currently. So we get our food and our products from GFS. So whenever their prices raise, we're taking a hit. So recently, about 2 months ago, we changed our menu. We renovated our menu completely. We used to offer Kaiser 6, 12, and 18-inch hoagies, and the Kaisers were like a 5.5-inch roll, I believe. And whenever we redid the menu, we didn't do that. Like that was toast. Like it's just 9 and 18s now. And then we raised everything that was a chicken product. We raised it by $1, and then our wings, bone-in wings for us, 12 of them was only like $13, I think, $13 or $14 before, and now they're at $20, and six is a half a dozen is $10. So people call and they're like, oh, I want an 18-inch of this, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna be 23 to $26, or depending on what you want. If you want extra shit, it's gonna be like 26, but
Yeah.
typically between 21 and 23 is like the average without tax. And I'm like,
Yeah,
they're like,
that,
oh, how
that
much
causes
is?
y'all to lose a lot of customers and stuff. That's why
Yeah,
it's been slower.
yeah. They're like, oh, I want this, and I'm like, okay, well, that's gonna be the total comes. I'll be like, let's say 25.58, and they're like, oh, I'm not paying $25 for a motherfucking sandwich. I'm like, okay, don't, like that's not on me.
Hmm.
Like they take it out on me, and
Yeah,
I'm
like
like,
you're the bad guy.
I apologize for the inconvenience, but you can go fuck yourself because I don't care.
Mm.
Like I don't want to have that on my reputation with my job or anything like that. But I've even said this with my manager before because my manager, he's a goat. But and people were like that, or like we used to offer these platters. So you would get like for a fish platter, you would get a fish sandwich, a small order of coleslaw, and a order of fries, and it was like $13, 12 something, $13. We don't offer that anymore. Same thing with anything with spaghetti, any pasta, so spaghetti, ziti, or chicken parm. We used to offer that with a side salad and a order of garlic toast. We don't do that anymore. You can order everything, but it's separate. And same thing with shrimp. But all these people are mad. Oh, you don't have this, or oh, this is so expensive. I'm like, I can't do much about that because, it's not my fault, inflation. It's not my fault of COVID. Every
Yeah,
other
Mike, you're
place,
supposed to go hit up the boss and make changes, bro.
yeah.
Come on.
And it came out to the point where, like, with our pizza bagels, we raised them by like 50 cents or like 75 cents, and we're still losing money on them. They're not even worth to be on our menu,
No little hand.
and even before we renovated our menu, we were losing money on some items because it cost more to make them. So
Yeah.
people get mad about that and get mad at Nikita, and they look like an asshole, and I do too because it's not our
I
fault.
don't make it if I don't sell it.
Yeah, facts. Um, it's not something where it affects all of us because we look like the bad guy, even though we're just doing our job. It's not our fault of inflation. I can't
Yeah.
imagine all these gas distributing companies. Whenever let's say what you figure it's almost fucking $4 a gallon here in PA. So what, a 55-gallon drum? That's what, I can't even think. That's like 200 and something bucks, basically, or right?
You're looking at almost like $220 a gallon,
Yeah, it's
or
like
at a
or
a
for
barrel.
a drum, yeah, and like it's like you could have thought that someone destroyed like an oil refinery or some shit because of it.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't. I'm surprised that there hasn't been riots because of it because back before COVID, like gas was only like you would be mad if gas was like 2.39. Now you'll be happy if it's under $4. Like look at New York. Like obviously everything's higher in New York, but look at New York. Like shit's almost $4 a gallon there. Like
Yeah.
it's like we all look like the bad guy, but it's not our fault COVID happened. And I can't
Yeah.
imagine China because like they get all the hate, even though like it technically really isn't their fault. That's the origin, but like it's not like they purposely made it to like a biological weapon or some shit. Like it's not. At
Yeah,
least
that's a whole different story though, right there in itself. But
there's like conspiracy theories there, but
I do want to say
2032, we're going to war with China.
hey, there's potential for that. We better hope not, but there's
because
potential for
World
that.
if that
World War.
happens, if we go to
World
war
War.
with China, we would be up
Yeah,
shit creek
we're
without a
doomed.
paddle because like 75% of the shit we have is from China, if not more. So everything like we give like the Middle East steel and we get like everything
My
else.
lighter won't work.
So it's
My
like
phone won't work. My
yeah,
TV won't work.
you won't
They
have a
all
phone or
stop
TV,
working.
bro, because it's all from
My
China, man.
TV's gonna start shooting me. It's gonna
Yep.
pull out an AK. My
Nah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
real quick, I do wanna before we get off of this topic, I do want to tell a quick inflation story. I think I briefly told you about this, Mike, but it was a little while back. So when I went to my last doctor's appointment, it was September the 24th. I went, and when I went there, this was like while I was in the waiting room. They got me all prepared for anesthesia, all that, and I was waiting for like an hour. For so long,
Mhm.
just waiting on the doctor to be done with the other procedure with a different patient. Well, while I was waiting, the I don't know. I don't even know what you call the guy, but like the guy who delivers and brings in the food and the snacks and all that to
Mhm.
this medical facility. He
there.
he basically he was explaining to the nurses and the staff there that I'm sorry that we don't have certain things. Like they didn't even basic things like the normal like small cups that you get from there that they fill up with water.
Mhm.
They didn't have any of those. They only had like the bigger like 16-ounce cups. Um, and he said things like they asked about Gatorade. Like things like Gatorade, he said, "Oh, you won't be able. If there's any Gatorade, it's because it's already on the shelves. Like
And
you're not gonna
it's like
receive any
so
new
expensive too.
you're not going to receive any new Gatorade." He said, like, pretty much all the supplies and materials that I didn't bring and that you're wanting me to bring is
Doesn't
out in the middle of
exist.
the ocean right now.
Yeah.
It's on a damn cargo ship somewhere. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't have access. So just
Old Gatorade.
yeah. So just hearing that, it's crazy because
Oh.
after your procedure, you can either get water or Gatorade or all this. It's like, no, they don't even have that option anymore. It's like, well, we can give you water in a 16-ounce cup. Like, it's not even the small cups anymore. Like, they're out of everything. And it's not just, I mean, this is a medical facility. You would think they would prioritize this over a lot of other places if they had it. So it's like the guy told him, it's literally out in the middle of the ocean. Couldn't get to you. It's not going to get to you for quite a while. So
Yeah.
I'll say, with everything going on and how backed up it is, like, I mean, just basic things, like, and it's not any one specific item, like we've been saying. It literally affected everything, even things like small cups in medical facilities, which you would never think would
Like
be an issue.
styrofoam cups and like the paper cups and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you would never think that would
Well,
be an issue, but yeah.
just wait
Um.
for when people need oil changes.
Yeah.
Nick.
I heard something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in on
Like
the shipping containers.
synthetic oil is high too. Like a regular car that takes like natural oil is like I don't know. It's like between 20 and like $50. But now, it's like you go and get a car that has
I think it's
synthetic.
almost 200.
You're paying like between 80 and like Nikita said $80 and $200. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I paid 200 Canadian for mine.
Yeah.
Pontiac Pursuit 2003.
Oh yeah.
One thing I want to get into before we wrap things up, there's also something that I'm going to discuss now, although I really don't want to because it's going to be in the finished version of the podcast. At the end of the podcast, once we do our outro, Nick, I'm going to keep recording so we can get a thumbnail, and then I'll just trim out the thumbnail video part. That way we have like a decent thumbnail, because I'm going to have to edit and all that. But
That's fine.
that being said, one thing that I found really interesting recently, like I've always thought this was cool, but I've gotten into it a lot more recently, is like when people explore abandoned mines, it's like a very like realistic time capsule because I actually ended up watching these videos from a guy named Mr. Ballin. He makes videos on like scary stories and places where people haven't gone but still have because they're fucking stupid because 2021 people are stupid. Okay.
Yeah, like Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I've seen his video on that.
Chernobyl's badass. I don't know if you know who. Probably don't know who Kyle Hill is, but like he's not a scientist, but he makes content on like science and chemistry and physics and all that. He's actually gonna spend 7 days inside of Chernobyl, like inside of the sarcophagus, and he's making content. I'm like, I love things about Chernobyl, so I think that's fucking amazing.
I'd love to go and visit it, but like it's expensive.
Thanks. That plus I'm good.
You're gonna
I don't want to be anywhere near radiation because that shit terrifies me.
Well, you'd have the whole suit on and everything, but it's like, to me, if it just wasn't as expensive, because like you're already spending a good amount of money and stuff to get there, and then on top of that you got to spend more. It's like, I don't know. If it wasn't as expensive, I would have already done it.
That being said, like I don't know about Ukraine, but do you know that Slovakia, like their prices are like dirt cheap? Like this was a little while ago, but I'm in 10th grade I'm in 11th. So my English teacher that's going to be for my senior year, he also teaches an ACT or SAT prep class, ACT and SAT. And he was speaking.
Hey,
me. Like, he's one of those cool teachers that like you get your shit done, and he'll just like talk and chill with you guys. Like, he's like he's chill as fuck, And he was like, whenever his family went to Slovakia for like an event for a while, they ended up going to dinner, like a high class dinner every single day for a straight week, and it costed less than $300 for that and the hotel and the driving expenses and all that. And that's $300. That's 300 USD. So I was like,
that's crazy.
And like he wants to, once he retires, he wants to move there for like 10 years just to like experience everything, because like it's something that's like heritage based, I believe. So
yeah, I think even in like cheaper parts of the U.S.,
it's like,
you're gonna spend more than $300 just on food if you're going to good like high class restaurants.
If
you're spending more than $300 on
like
just
3 days, 2 days maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, you're spending over $300 on just food alone, and then the hotel, depending on the place, of course,
can be
is
up
gonna
to
change.
$300 a night if you have like a nice hotel, and like
depending on the place,
Then not rent, like renting a car, that shit's expensive as fuck. Gas, that's expensive as fuck. So it's like.
And then if you want to do anything special, like if you want to go to like take a tour of anything or any of that,
you need to pay for tickets for it.
Extra.
Like you need to pay for your paint. Like it's just. The U.S., like, I'm proud to be American. I'm a patriot, but, like, this shit sucks, okay? Like, most people from the outside looking in be like, America is the greatest country ever. And although America is fucking amazing, I love to be here. I would never change it, anything like that. But you don't understand how, like, economically, some of these...
America!
Okay, yeah, okay, Nikita, Mr. Canadian boy. But from the outside looking in, most people think that, it's great, and it is. But when it comes to the economy, it's horrible. And, kind of segueing...
Don't move to Canada, it's worse.
It is? Okay, we need to have you on for a second episode. We need to discuss that.
We do. And I can show you guys my game collection and stuff.
Bro.
Yeah. We haven't even touched on so many different things, like Dom's skateboarding.
I thought this was going a lot longer.
Nikita, you're more than welcome to do it at the end of once the video is over, like in the stream, if you want to show it off, or even like a segment clip for the podcast.
Well, I'd save it because at some point we'll have
save it. We'll save it for the next time you guys have me on.
That sounds good to me. But talking about the whole
I'll show you my dog as well.
The whole economy and things, After I watched the Mr. Ballin video, just because I always watch his videos, I especially watch YouTube when I eat, like that's my thing. But I was watching one of his videos, and it was about this guy who explores mines, and he randomly inside there was no breeze, nothing. This fucking chain swinging off of its rockers. It's fucking, a demon.
Yeah.
A demon. So that, but his videos, like all of his videos were normal, like they were, he only had like 1,000 subscribers, and like he only got a couple hundred views a video, and then that one video has like 7 million views, or like it has like
Yeah.
it has millions and millions of views, and then all his other videos are normal. Like his channel blew up. He went from 1,000 to like 375K off of that video, but it's like it's crazy because what was I gonna say? It's crazy because like if you look at old mines, like in general, because I didn't really care about the whole haunted thing, because studies have shown that people that believe in ghosts typically are more likely to see them, and those that don't believe in them typically almost never see them. But that's,
yeah, it's like a bias thing. Like you're seeing what you want to believe.
That plus it's more of a psychological thing, because you're more likely to believe that you've seen a ghost if you believe in them, and like and like obviously, like for me, like I rationalize everything, but even then, like I'm still not gonna believe that I see a ghost unless, like, it straight up just hits me in the face. But
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna get into the whole
I haven't
discussion because I have like so many experiences and stuff personally. I'm not gonna get into it, but like I'll just give you a quick example. Like today, me and my dad were sitting on the back porch today, and we're just sitting there casually, and the door just swings wide open with like
was there a breeze?
And see, it's windy outside, but the door opens from the inside out. So I don't know.
It could have been a breeze coming by and it pulls drag out.
That's what I was gonna say. Me and my dad both are the same way. We're constantly trying to rationalize it. We don't want to instantly assume, oh, some demon just threw the door open. Like, that's not the first thing. That's not the first thing that we jump to. But it's like, me, my mom, and my dad had all said, like, well, maybe it was the breeze, or maybe we didn't shut the door all the way. Like, we're always thinking, like, oh, it was that. But it's like, when we come outside, we do the same thing every time. We let the dogs out, I hook up Tippy, and then I close the door. It's like, there's no way I just casually just left out the last step and didn't close the door. So I know for sure, like, I don't know. Like, I try to rationalize it in every way and say, like, it was the wind, totally. I'm not, I'm just crazy. It's like, I don't want to believe that it was actually something crazy that went down, but I'm definitely the same way, Mike. I try to rationalize it as best as I can just so I don't, because if I knew there was something insane, like, walking around in here with me, I wouldn't want to live here. I wouldn't even want to go to sleep. So,
I'm 100% with you on that, though. If I was aware of some shit like that, this fucking... I wouldn't say it's a $multi-thousand, but this like setup worth like a couple grand. Like this bitch would be packed up and ready to go in a day. Plus like my like I have like at least a couple grand worth of tools and shit down in my garage. But okay, besides that, we're talking about how this dude's video blew up, right? Yep. And Nikita, I don't know if you've watched this yourself, but if you ever watch people exploring old mines, not haunted mines, because I don't give a fuck about that. Regular mines, just regular old mines, not mines that has a big gym at the bottom of them, I don't shout out to that song. That song is amazing. But so you watch it and it's like it's just a complete time capsule, but it's a time capsule and everything's preserved. And you would expect everything to be like rusted and like broken down and disintegrating. But like there's like blasting cap boxes that are still like mint condition. There's cigarette cartons that look like they've been made like yesterday. There's tins of coffee that literally it looks like they've been painted with porcelain, like with a glaze, and it looks like it's not, it's paint, but it looks like it's a glaze. That's how new it looks,
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like I would recommend at least watching one of them if you guys have the time, because like not only is that crazy, it's interesting to learn how like the ways of them back then, also like just how inflation was, because like a lot of these mines are made between the 30s and like the 70s, right? Maybe a little bit before the 70s, because like the 70s is like where all that kind of like stopped.
I'd say like the early 1900s all the way up to like 1950 for sure.
Even like in the 60s and like really early 70s it was still a thing. Probably like the 60s is where it started to die off. But you watch all that and it's it's crazy, because like a loaf of bread a nickel. You know,
Yeah.
a tin of coffee, 10 cents. You know,
But see, it's weird, like you said, with the inflation and everything, right? Because like, yeah, things were cheaper, but you had to work a hell of a lot
yeah,
long.
and you only got like
A
maybe
nickel,
you only
like
got like $100 a month in that, like
yeah,
if you're
if
lucky.
that, like back, and it depends on how far back you go, obviously, and on
Hmm.
the specific time period. But I'll say this, like, could you imagine working all day and having like a nickel or a dime to show for it?
Yeah.
Like, you worked all day, here's
That
a
shit.
dime.
Yeah, like that. I kind of appreciate that though because it shows. I feel like that displays currency more than our like. Whenever you think of currency, you don't think of our currency. You think of what our currency used to be. How it's like a bond almost.
Yeah.
And
What
with
were you
that,
gonna say, Dom? I thought
Sorry,
Dom
I was
said
just gonna
something.
say in a two podcasts from now, it's Devil's Night. Just throwing that out there.
good to
Oh
know.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. That's
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's right, isn't it? That's gonna be interesting. So we'll be doing it the night of. Wow.
Wait, what is
We're gonna
Devil's
have
Night?
to Halloween, bro.
Oh, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna be doing a podcast Halloween night. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think
That's
about
gonna be
that.
really cool. We're gonna
That's
have to
yeah.
figure
Well,
out like,
Halloween's on a Sunday, so it'll be like it'll
but
run
it's like
into Halloween, right?
yeah, yeah. So it's like the night leading into it.
All right.
Because
Yeah.
we'll be live when it hits Halloween, technically. Because like we
So
start
Halloween's on a
at
Sunday.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's already the
The
17th, but
31st. Yeah.
it's already the 17th, but it's the next day.
Yeah.
So at this time, hit 2 weeks from now,
2
it'll
weeks
be
from now.
Halloween.
That's what's up.
So we'll be live going into Halloween.
That's kind of badass.
So we'll have to have like a special guest and have like some type of episode for that as
Yeah.
well.
All that being said,
That's cool.
I had a topic and I was thinking about it, and now you're gonna have to give me
You
a
done
second.
lost it. You done
Yeah,
lost.
I
Bobby.
did in fact done lost it.
Not bad.
Yes. So there's this one video of this guy that owns a like a ghost. It's not a ghost town, but it's.
I know who you're talking about. Is it Ghost Town Living?
I'm pretty sure it's like he
It's
has like a
Sarah
red
Gordo?
bear. Yeah, Sarah Gordo. Okay, you know what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking about now. So this
Yeah.
guy, like he bought this, abandoned mine and stuff like that. But that's not the important part. Here's the money about it. Okay.
Exploring those mines, bro.
Well, not only that, but listen to
That's cool.
the economical part, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
he was making a video on making like testing silver, like silver percentage for like a certain mine, and like doing the old school process, not what we do today, but what they would have had to do, right?
Oh.
And at the end of it, like during like all of it, he was talking about how the furnaces were on the mine and then people had to haul it off, but I forget what the alloy was called, but it was lead and silver mixed together, so it's harder for people to steal it, because if they steal it, they have to have someone refine it, and then why does it have this company name stamped into it? Oh, I just found it. Yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
So that being said, he was talking about how back in the day, the furnaces that people would go to, either they're on the mine or down the hill. Well, those furnaces, the ones that I'm pretty sure were on site, they would charge them, and by the end of the month, they would be making $3,500 a month, and that was back in like the 50s and the 60s,
Yeah.
where like
Which
okay,
would be hundreds of thousands today.
that would be what? Okay, so I'm pretty sure, like with today's inflation, like it's like a tenth or a 12th of the price. Like things now are 12 to like whatever percent, or not percent.
Yeah,
but
so let's
times
just
higher.
say, well, let's just say like back then, if it was 3,500 a month, now it's like 35 grand a
Yeah,
month.
I'm gonna look it up, but it's gonna be close to that. It'll be like 34, like 32 grand. I'm gonna double check. Let me.
I
Look
mean,
this up
it
real
doesn't
quick.
have to be it technically doesn't have to be a specific
I'm
number,
just
but I
curious
like,
personally. Yeah.
yeah. I know, like, I don't know. I agree with you on that. I think it's crazy how, like, back then, you could literally, you look at how it was back then, and it's like, my
You can imagine
goodness.
how it'd be like back in the colonial days, whenever like
Yeah.
that was like the ways of life. Give me one moment.
Back then, you're like, yep, made, $3,500 a month. I'm banking nowadays. You got freaking
All
some
right.
people that make that in less than a week.
Yeah, we were both right. So, like I said, it would be around 32 to 34 grand. It's 3,500. Then would be 32 435. So
Yeah, so about 30
yeah,
to
so you figure
35,000.
12 months, you're making easily a couple hundred grand. So
Yeah.
what you're making like almost 300, give or take. So that's crazy. And it's insane how things have evolved, but how like it's funny how techniques and like technology's evolved, but how humans have done kind of the opposite. And like
Yeah.
I kind of hate on my own and like slander my own generation, but I feel like as technology advances, our generation's IQ decreases, or like
Well,
just evolves because
the
we make it
things we used to
easier.
do,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The things we used to do, like that used to be an actual, like, think
Mhm.
about it back then, like, just to get one bar of soap, all the shit you had to go through,
Yeah.
like, that's an example, obviously, but
Yeah.
things like that where you literally had to earn
The
every
thing you did.
single thing that you owned, you
Yeah.
had to earn and work your ass off for.
Yep. That's facts.
Nowadays it's like, oh, you want a bar of soap, go to the store and buy it, bam bam.
Yeah.
Oh, you want ice cream, you don't have to churn, you're not gonna sit there and make your own ice cream. Oh, you want to churn butter, yeah, no, that's hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna do any of that. Like, that's light work. So now let's just say if it was to ever happen the way I want it to, and it goes to like a zombie apocalypse or something. What are you gonna do then? Like, you ain't gonna just rely on your cell phone to,
Hell no.
do it, or you can't rely on your technology, because what if there is no electricity to power your, let's just say, your toaster? You can't make, whatever. You can't, it isn't gonna power your microwave. How are you gonna just warm up your food? Oh, how you gotta figure all those things out. So yeah, I agree with you. It's making us to where, people in our generation, like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, think about it. Somebody who, like Dom, he's still, I'd say he's still in our generation, obviously, but even from just his time period to ours, like, just that little
It's
bit of
way
difference,
different. Yeah.
he knows way more things that we never even had to learn just because it was
It
done
was kind of a
differently then.
convenience thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's great.
This
It's
is
like my mom
like
says all the time. It's hard to remember phone numbers because who
I
remembers
used to remember
someone's
to do
phone
that,
number?
but ever since I started using contacts, like I
Yeah.
forget phone
You just hit their
numbers.
name, bam,
Yeah, and I
you're good.
used to memorize them whenever I needed them. So now it's
yeah.
like it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know my girlfriend's number, but I remember my grandma's number, who's been passed away for like
Wow.
28 years.
Probably
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be thrown
insane.
in the doghouse for that, but I doubt Allison
Hopefully,
will watch
hopefully,
it this
hopefully,
long.
Allison doesn't see this podcast and doesn't skip all the way to like
I told her
two
to
hours
watch
and like
it. If you're not
45
watching this,
minutes.
Allison, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you are watching it, Allison,
Then I'm
Dom,
in
you're in
trouble.
trouble.
And whatever. I'm used to being in trouble, so whatever.
Yeah, you're always in the doghouse. So,
Yeah.
What I
but
do?
yeah, but I don't know, Mike. What do you think? You ready to go ahead and wrap her up? Go ahead and put a bow on it.
I
Call it
would
a night.
say so, but give me like a few more seconds just here, because I'm pretty sure there was one more thing I want to talk about. But if not, I'm more than welcome or more than happy to wrap it up here. Just gonna have to give
What
me a
was
few
your
more.
most hyped game? I have a question for you guys. What was your guys' most hyped game that turned out to be a flop? I'll tell you mine first.
Ooh.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna be what you said.
I respect that decision.
Ooh, so upset. And Death Stranding, because I thought Death Stranding was gonna be
Death
lit, and it was a
Stranding,
walking
like the story
simulator.
with Death Stranding was really good, but it was a walking simulator.
I got to the first boat, like where you leave to go to the main story, and I never got past there. Matt bought the PS5 upgrade, and like I still can't even I can't do it, man. Like I'd rather no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Just what about let's go with Nick first. What about Nick? What's your like
All
most
right.
like hype game and it was just a flop?
This is actually this will make a lot of sense once you hear me say this. So obviously the golden years of Call of Duty where everything was going great. Call of Duty was phenomenal, top of the charts, right? Which obviously it still is, but for different reasons nowadays. So back then, I was playing year after year of amazing Call of Duty after amazing Call of Duty. And then this was back when I didn't have a whole lot of money. Like I didn't even save up to buy the Call of Duty myself. My parents were still buying it for me, type of deal. This was way back in 2013. And this was after Black Ops 2. And I was like, okay, next Call of Duty coming out. It's by Infinity Ward. This will be a good Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2 and 3 were dope. Like, this is going to be lit. And I got Call of Duty Ghosts for Christmas. I purposely made sure not to watch any videos, not to do anything. Didn't want to be spoiled. Didn't want it to be ruined for me, right?
I knew this was going to be your answer.
Yeah. And going in, I was like, dude, this is going to be amazing. I opened it up on Christmas Day, and I was like, this is God, dude. Like, thank you guys so much for this. This is amazing. I've been wanting this for so long. Of course, like, the game has been out by, like, a month and a half by then, and I was like, shit, like, I hope I'm going to like this game. And I didn't, see anybody's reviews, didn't know anything going in. All I knew is, like, 30 minutes in, I was like, bro, there's no fucking way. Like, this is the worst. This is the worst Call of Duty I've ever played in my life. This is garbage. Like, everybody was camping. The only gun that I was dying to was, like, the Honey Badger. Everybody was just sitting there camping their ass off.
Honey Badger,
and it was
Vector.
like Honey Badger, Vector, and MTAR. That was, like, the only guns that I was
Unless you played the competitive scene, then it was the, I don't remember what the ACR version was. It wasn't the MTAR, but I forget what they used in the competitive scene. But it was it was like an ACR style rifle, and then it had the 2X and the hollow, but then it was like a thermal too. And that's what they used in Pro League. It was really cool.
But I'll tell you this, man. I was so hyped going into that game, and within a few days, I didn't do what a lot of people do and like take it back or get my money back or whatever. Even though I definitely should have, like, looking back, I definitely should have. I don't even have it anymore.
I should have done that with Cyberpunk as well. But...
Hell yeah, you talked about how you wanted to, but then at first, like, they weren't giving refunds, but then they did, and then, like, you just said screw it. But I kind of did the same thing. I said screw it, and I just went back to playing BO2. And obviously, you guys know the rest. The rest is history. I know how I told you guys how I went back and I was trick shotting and doing all that, just being a part of clans and being a part of Black Ops 2. But I'd say for me, it was Call of Duty Ghost. I was looking forward to that game so much, and it completely flopped. It was horrible. So, but yeah, what about you, Mike? What would you say?
So mine is like a little bit. It's A, controversial, and B, it's a little bit it's like split kind of. So it's one of 2/3. Which obviously is saying 2/3, you can see where this is going. We'll start off with the less obvious one, right? So, I played like with Cody, right? My boy Cody. He was always more of a Battlefield guy because like it's slower pace, like it's just more immersive, right?
Yeah.
So, one day I'm at his crib and we're playing. And I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'll play some Battlefield, I was watching videos on it because he was telling me all about it. And this was Battlefield 5, by the way. I didn't really, I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. But I was like, okay, this is pretty lit. That's what's up. I'm going to get it, right? So I played it at his house for a little bit, and then I decided to buy it. I'm like, fuck yeah. It's like $20. It wasn't even expensive. I bought it, it was cheap as fuck. So I bought it, and I'm like, hell yeah, man. I'm going to play this. And I played it, and, me and him played it for a little bit, and once we started playing the other modes that weren't TDM or DOM, but on the small maps, I'm like, this fucking sucks. And it wasn't I got kind of emotional about it too. I was like, I spent my money on this shit. I don't want to keep getting fucking blown up by tanks, or I don't want to run 500 feet and find nobody. I'm sorry I'm ass at this game, Cody, but this shit sucks.
And no way, Mike. You getting emotional? Come on,
I was dead ass crying because I sucked so fucking badly at Battlefield. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Because, every time I'd spawn in, bam, tank, bam, tank. Oh, what? Airplane? Yeah, brr, dead. I'm like, what the fuck? Yep. So, I love running around with, the, I forget what it was called, but it was basically the Volk in Vanguard, but I was using that in Battlefield, and I was using that in, the MP 144. Not the STG 44, but like like the SMG, like
Yeah.
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 It was like the horizontal MP40, but it wasn't the Sten. It was like the one that shoot quick as fuck. I forget the name of it. And you would think I would know this considering
The WAF,
maybe
something.
maybe it's like shot really quick and it was like 9 mil or like really
Was
low
it like
caliber.
the Type 100,
It was
but shot really quick?
It was yeah. That's literally what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the WAF. Yeah, the WAF.
Yeah.
If you played World War II, anybody who's listening to this, you guys will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because that's the game that I'm referencing off of. Because that's the game that I actually know some shit on. But I ran around with that. It was cool. But like I was like, I paid this money for this shit, and I'm like, this shit fucking sucks, man. And like, I was loving it because me and Cody were playing together. We were slamming everybody, and like, Cody wasn't he's a good dude, but like he wasn't the hardcore gamer type. But Battlefield was like his game. It was kind of like how Nikita is with like Enlist, like Hell Let Loose, like. That was the game where he popped off, and me and him would run around. Like, me and you were the sub duo, me and him were the duo, bro. We slammed everybody. But whenever we played anything besides, like, those small modes, I'm like, I can't, man. Like, this shit's not fun. And then I even got to the point where I was like, I'm going to return it. But then I realized, I'm like, it's not even worth. I'll just, like, try to get good at it, or I'll keep it. I still have it. It's in my tool chest and up here. But, and that really sucked because I really wanted to like that gun, because it was fun. And, like, I loved the way Battlefield played, but I just didn't like the tanks and the running simulator aspect. And then the second thing that I would get to and say is probably Modern Warfare / Warzone. Like
That's
Warzone,
what I was, yeah.
Warzone recently is kind of like, I've kind of gotten into it. Like, I've been enjoying it. But, like, okay, for MW, right? The beta, like the 2v2 beta, God tier, amazing. That shit was amazing for the alpha, right? The 2v2 alpha.
Yeah, the 2v2 alpha was God tier.
And like even the beta, like it was full of 725 and camping, but I felt like if they removed that it was gonna be a decent game. Like, I enjoyed the way it looked and felt. I just didn't like kids sitting in a fucking in a corner with a shotgun. Like, that's not fun.
It was all because of the horse feet, bro. If they didn't make it to where you sounded so loud, people didn't feel like they had to camp in a corner. Because you couldn't make a play or move without your dead silence.
Yeah, and that, like, getting into that, it was kind of exactly, like, I thought the game was really good, but that was the game, including Warzone, where they changed shit that didn't need to be changed. They changed
the mini-map.
They changed the mini-map, the way BRs played, the way that Dead Silence wasn't a field upgrade, or wasn't a perk, it was a field upgrade, which was fucking stupid. Oh. Like, I love the gun customization. That was amazing, because back in the day, that was something that we didn't have, I was like, I can kit this to be like a real, like, military issue rifle if I want to. I can make it into, like a 9mm M4, which is a real thing you can do. Like, you need a conversion kit, but you can do it. Like, it's badass. And, I really respect Infinity Ward for, like, going to that like, length and, like, doing all that, But a couple things that I didn't really like was, after the beta, I was, like, kind of thinking, like, I kind of want to refund this shit. This shit's ass. Like, this is horrible. Like, it looks cool, and it's nice, but it's ass. So, and I did that, but, like, I don't like that they introduced the not the pick 5, but like the 5 attachment system. I didn't like that. I like the classic pick 10. I still don't like it to this day. I like the pick 10 way better. I didn't like things that they did. Like, I thought like the snapshot grenade was cool, but then like it was just like there was a lot of things that they did that didn't need to be done. Like, like mounting. Like making everything kind of wall bangable, like they introduced a lot of recoil, which I don't mind that because I feel like that's the way to increase the skill gap.
And then that's another reason people camp so much is the time to kill is like instant.
Like it was like you were playing basically hardcore, like if you had an AR that did a lot of damage, like the Odin, I don't know, like I know at launch like certain guns did a lot of headshot damage, but once they buffed everything and nerfed everything, like headshots isn't a one shot, but it might as well be, because if you hit one body shot and one headshot, you're done, But they did that, they did the doors, What else?
Yeah, try crossing the street on Grozna raid with
Yeah.
that time to kill. It's not happening.
Yeah, and it just, I felt like it was almost like hardcore, you know. It just didn't feel like COD to me, and obviously I just came from BO4, and like that was like my first online COD, so I was like, this is not COD. Like just coming from BO4, I'm like, this isn't COD. This isn't what I've played. This is like, I played Ghost offline, I played BO2 offline. I'm like, this is just not COD, whatever. So
Well, and then you have the whole fact that they straight up said, like, they came out and admitted
just adapt.
that they, well, they said the whole just
And
adapt,
they
but
made
they
it for like bad
admitted,
players.
yeah, they said, like, we want bad players to have a chance, and, like, we want everyone to have a fair chance. And they even said, like, oh, yeah, like, the reason why the time to kill is quicker is so if they're sitting there, they can catch their unexpected,
Like because if it's like
opponents off
BO4
guard.
TTK, you can 180 and just shit all over the kid. Like you can
Yeah.
just wipe the floor with him. But like
Yeah,
in
that's why it
MW,
was like a skill gap. Like
yeah,
in MW, it's just dead.
yeah, and MW as well. With that, like in SBMM, right? And I feel like SBMM was harder in MW than it was in Cold War. Personally, that's my opinion. And in MW it was like I at first I was whatever, and then towards the end and middle of it I'm like I'm not gonna lie, I reverse boosted a couple games, but like that was it. Like I wouldn't do like 15 games and then get a bot lobby. I just did it so that I could play and not like I don't even care if I got like amazing gameplay. I just wanted to have a game where I didn't have to try my dick off just to go neutral or go like barely positive.
It's sad you even have to do that, but it's
Yeah.
like it's either that
And like
or have a different account that you just join
yeah,
on, which is basically the
the same.
equivalent of reverse boosting.
Yeah. So and like that, it was like, in that sense, I was like, I wasn't like super into the competitive scene as I am now. Like I was into BO4 competitive, but MW competitive, like for the public, was more of a flop, you know. So I was like, I don't even really care about going up against kids that are better than me and getting better at this point. I'm just tired of this. Like I don't want to have to sweat every game. And then going into Warzone, that's something that I think that was overhyped as fuck. I think Warzone, it's good, but people praise it and ride its dick like it's the best thing ever, and it's not. And I play Warzone myself. I'm not saying that it's the worst thing ever, because it's not. We've had way worse CODs, like MW or Ghosts. I didn't play Ghost personally, but MW 2019 dog shit. Okay,
Yeah.
But with Warzone, it was like kind of the same thing. Like it was all the bad things at MW, and then everything was different. Like like all the shitty mechanics were there, and like I didn't like all the mechanics and things that they had in MW. And then it was like, oh well, like Nikita said, everything's nerfed and buffed. One day it's good, one day it's bad. That, and the map was too big, it was too slow paced. And then like my biggest thing was always BRs, right? BRs are like PUBG, H1, Blackout. Like I'm not talking about Rebirth, Blackout, or Alcatraz.
Well, let's put it this way. To sum up what Mike's about to say is buy stations, in his opinion, shouldn't exist.
Well, not just buy
and
stations.
everything that you can get in the buy station shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So if you remove that, you have a normal BR, and that's what would make Mike a lot more comfortable and a lot more happy with Warzone. Is if the buy station and everything in it didn't exist. I think it would be a really interesting like mode if they had it to where like, I mean, I don't think they've ever tried that.
But
Like,
they
I don't
would
think
also
they've
have to
ever
make it
tried
where
that,
ground
but-
loot. Like I know, like they did it the way they did because of the attachment system, but they would
No.
have to make it so ground loot isn't ground loot. It's whatever you find and you throw attachments and shit on. I know that would kind of suck, and it would make it really hard for it to render everything in. But like, yeah, because I don't like.
Or they could do like what they did with Blackout, like gold guns. Like if you found a gold gun in Blackout, it was like a random setup.
Yeah, well, they do that now, but like I want to be able to pick the attachments that I put on my gun. I don't want it to have some random attachment. Like I want what I put on it, what I don't want on it.
Well, they could have found a way around that. Like they could have it to where if you found a gold gun or a legendary gun, then you could just switch up your attachments.
Yeah,
Like
I think
they could find a way around it. Is my point.
Yeah, I think that if they did that, I would like Warzone more. Like I like Rebirth because I don't really play Rebirth as a BR. I play it just to slam everybody and get kills. Because like I said, what they did with Warzone, it's not really a BR in my opinion. It's a really bad interpretation, and it's something that it's like they tried changing everything like they did in MW. They tried making all kind of different shit that they didn't need to, and they made shit in Warzone that didn't need to exist. And now it's setting the standards for other things, and that's just I don't think that should be happening. I don't think so. That should be.
Yeah, but well, I guess we'll go ahead and be wrapping it up. I do want to say one thing before I kind of get into the outro is kind of like Dominic talked about it earlier with him asking the question about the game we're most hyped about, which obviously is what we were just talking about. That was a question that he had asked on the last podcast when he was busy and stuff like that. And so if any of you guys, this is something we like to do. If any of you guys have any questions, you guys can feel free to leave them in the comments below on this podcast, and we will touch on them in the next one. It might potentially be a topic. You guys never know. So feel free to leave your comments, let us know, ask us any questions you guys have, and we'll try to answer them. If there's anything we left out or any questions you have about Dom, we can also update you guys about that for the next one. Stuff like that. So you guys be sure to leave your comments down below. And if you are watching this on YouTube, drop a like for you boys. It's greatly appreciated. And we really did enjoy having Dom on. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. It was a pleasure.
It was great being with us, man.
It went way better than I thought it would, and I'm glad to have you here, man. And once again, you're always more than welcome. And even if you, I don't mean this disrespect, even if you're not welcome in our videos, you still end up being there. So either way, it's good. I like the extra commentary in the background. It makes for a more interesting and entertaining video.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on again, bro. Bros.
Like always, everybody, Nikita, I need you to stay for an extra minute after we do the outro. But
okay.
Once again, Nick, like I said, guys,
I got you.
If you're new here, make sure if you're new on my channel, Cryptic Fury, make sure to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell to get notified every time I upload a video of content or make this podcast and stream it. Be sure to also drop a like on it and comment on the video or the stream, depending on when you're watching it. If you guys are viewing this from the Blind Rage podcast channel, make sure to drop a like on that as well. Make sure that subscribe button, the notification bell as well to get notified of every time we upload, which is typically every Sunday from anywhere between 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. As always, make sure to drop a comment as well if you have any kind of questions or concerns. Be sure to let us know, as well as follow us on YouTube. Follow Nick's second YouTube at Blind But Deadly, as well as my Twitch at NextMRV on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Here and there I do not stream, as well as Nick's Twitch on Blind But Deadly, although he doesn't stream on there yet. Whenever he does get an Xbox, another Xbox, he's going to stream a little bit of things in that respect. As well as make sure to follow my Twitter, where I post and tweet out every time I go live at Fury_Cryptic. And Nikita, if you would like, you're more than welcome to plug any type of social media or your companies once again. If you have any type of social media you want to promote.
Well, if you want, Dom, I know you probably weren't going to mention it, but I will. Dombo4200, if you guys want to check him out on Twitch. He isn't live all the time, but he will stream some more old school games.
I will.
Like that.
Definitely does stream some retro games. It's really cool.
When the winter happens, I will be on there. I'll be playing retro. I can't show you guys yet, but I have a big collection. Next time you guys have me on, I will show my collection. Then I can stream some games, shoutouts, whatever you guys want. But that happens when the winter time happens, because I gotta make the money until then. Then it's just relaxation and playing retro games in the winter.
Yep. So yeah, if you guys are interested, be sure to go check out Dombo4200 over on Twitch. And he is Doninic Veroni on YouTube. He doesn't really post any videos, but you guys will see him in my chat as well as Mike's chat from time to time. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We got a good amount of time in. I feel like definitely, what was this, Mike? Did we hit the 3-hour mark? Would you say?
We're like
Um,
8 minutes off, but I was kind of cut it off at 2 hours, and it went this far. But I'm not complaining. I'm happy to have a longer podcast, but for
yeah,
everybody's sake, I was trying to end it a little bit short. But yeah, once again,
yeah.
Nick, after the outro, we need to stay recording for 1 moment so we can get a thumbnail, and then I'll just trim it out at the end.
All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and do the outro, guys. I appreciate everybody being here, showing the support. If y'all watched the entire thing up until this point, you're an absolute legend. We appreciate you being here, and yeah, shout out to all you guys. Shout out to Dom once again. Appreciate him
One extra
coming
thing,
on.
Nick. Sorry to
What's
cut
up?
you off, but one extra thing, guys. If you did make it this far in the podcast, whenever it goes live on the Blind Rage podcast, make sure to comment down below Dombo420 if you guys were officially made it all the way here, so we can show who's the real true supporters here and who's just clicking on it for a second or two. We support all, but for those loyal subscribers and loyal followers, we're more than more than happy to have you, and we appreciate you helping our analytics. Continue, Nick.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, comment Dombo 4200 down below. That would be really cool of you guys, because I did start that in the last episode and I almost forgot, so thanks Mike for reminding me. But yeah, we want to do that to where if you guys did watch up until this point and you're still watching, comment down below, let us know what's happening. But we appreciate you guys being here, appreciate Dom coming on, and as always guys, God bless and peace out.